Boat drinks.
Yeah.
All
As soon
right.
as whenever the nice weather starts, I get my Jimmy Buffett playlist on, and I feel happy.
I
Happiness comes.
I just do yacht rock, which is
Oh.
the mortal enemy cousin of Jimmy Buffett. It's if you ever get a chance, try to track down the old YouTube series called Yacht Rock, where they basically coined that phrase, and then Jimmy Buffett does show up in an episode for a little bit. So
That's pretty funny.
okay. Hello, everybody. We're getting started. We have audio. We have my video. Let's take a look here. Let's get Mike in here. I don't think Mike, do you have your video on? Does not have his
No.
video on, but I'm getting it.
I'm getting there because I'm dumb.
And oh, look how dumb he looks.
I is not smart.
All right, there's that. So then we bring it in from the Discord.
Gotta open up
Discord
both
1.
drinks. Boys in the bar, go to both drinks. I gotta fly to sit somewhere.
Okay, that looks good. Looking good. Is that right?
I'm wearing this weird shirt that, like, if you don't see the Mickey Mouse, looks like it's an Affliction shirt, but don't worry, there's a Mickey Mouse on it.
Incredible. All right, I got chat there. I need the community questions, and I think I'll be good. Let's go to forms.google.com.
Where's Christian? I'm almost worried about him. It's not like him to just not be waiting for us.
I know. All right. I got the questions. I got a Mikey. I got audio. Got video. Looking good. Got the rundown here. All right. Let's check the audio. Let's check the intro music.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, they hear that too. All right. I think we're ready. I should probably tweet, huh?
Oh, I should tweet also.
Let's do that.
I'm gonna say, make sure you mention we're talking about. Gonna be talking about studios on GamesBeat. I almost called it GamesBeat Live. GamesBeat Live.
Welcome to GamesBeat Live.
Welcome to GamesBeat Live. I'm Mike Minotti, today's guest. Like I don't know why, but I pictured it as like a Larry whatever his name
Larry
was.
Sanders?
No, the guy from CNN who's very old.
Yes, Larry King.
Larry King. That's
it. It's Larry King Live.
Yeah, Larry. Yeah, that's why. Then I knew there must have been some reason that I was immediately. All I can think about when I think of Larry King now is when he's interviewing Ben Schwartz and talking about Sonic the Hedgehog, and then Ben Schwartz made Larry King do what he like voice Sonic. Like, what do you think Sonic should sound like? Larry King just did this nasally, high pitched thing. I was like, what is reality?
All right, I am ready to go. Mike, are you ready?
Mikey, ready?
Okay, I'm gonna count down, and then I'm gonna hit record, and we're gonna go. Here we go, everybody. 5, 4, 3. It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this. Welcome to the GamesBeat Decides podcast. This is a podcast where Americans are losing their fundamental right to not be owned by their co-hosts when they say something stupid. My name is Jeff Grubb. With me is
Mike Minotti.
In today's episode, news, games, lots of messes. New York Times is one mess. Whatever. We actually aren't going to talk about that. But
that's related, actually.
Yeah,
kind of goes hand in hand with our main topic.
Absolutely. But we're going to talk about Moon Studios, what's happened over there. If you are wondering why we're talking about that, go to a website called GamesBeat.com. Dean Takahashi just put up a pretty lengthy story going over what it was like for many people to work there. It definitely sounds like an immature and an environment I would hate working in, so I don't blame anyone else for speaking out. There is a big story there. We're going to go over it. Mike's going to talk about that too, because Mike's a big Ori fan. But also, like, Gran Turismo 7 seems like it's a mess. Like, it hasn't worked for a day and a half. Like, that's weird.
There's a problem there.
Yeah.
Yes.
The initiative, who knows what's going on over there? Like, there's just, it's a messy time in games. We're going to get to all of it, though. But Mike, how are
Everything's
you
a mess,
doing?
but Jeff, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm busy. I got things happening. I'm trying to maybe purchase a home, which I've never done before, and it's stressful.
Where's that? Where is it at? Is that something you want to talk about?
So you're cornering me online. I told you I would never tell you where I'm moving. You do it once we're on the live on the podcast to make me say it. Yeah, probably Ohio. Probably back in Ohio.
Oh my God, Jeff! I haven't seen you in person in probably like 3 or 4 years. I think it was before Addie was born.
Yeah. It was that E3 in 2019 is probably the last time, because that's like the one time I traveled after Addie was born. So, but yeah, God. Was that yes.
wasn't that where is that where Ori and Will of the Wisp was playable and I freaked out too?
Yeah, yes, it was. Yes, it was. It was the kind of thing where when this story came out, I'm like, oh, I wonder how Mike will react. But you've been like, this is the kind of we're so used to this now, right? So let's just hop into it. First of all, I want to thank everyone for joining us. Get more from Mike and me at GamesBeat.com. Email us games+podcast@venturebeat.com. Thank you to Carlos Ain, who's in San Lorenzo Music on YouTube for the use of our theme songs. Join the Discord. It's discord.gg/GameMess. Hit the thumbs up if you're watching live on YouTube, and support the show, patreon.com/GameMess. That gets you into the secret channels inside the Discord. I got some nice messages from people joining that Discord recently. We're going to be doing a Jeopardy game live tonight, so if you don't want to miss out on that, the only way to get that link is to join the Patreon.
Rachel's going to be in that, so
Rachel's
I get
gonna
to
be
meet 2 coworkers this time.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Mike. Yeah, like I said, let's get into it. What's going on over at Moon Studios?
Basically, so a lot of former employees sort of reached out to Dean, is how this started, with kind of concerns and some of their experiences going on there. And the basic gist is that they want people to know what it's like there, and they kind of want to give people a warning because there is such high turnover there. And even before everything we've been talking about, Jeff, with of course, turnover is normal. There was high turnover after the first Ori game came out, so kind of before this situation we're in now. And basically, it comes down to the 2 co-heads of the studio, Thomas Mailer and Janity Coral, being just kind of immature, toxic leaders.
Yeah,
they make inappropriate jokes. They kind of. So like their whole thing is that we're going to be like an anti-corporate culture, and we're going to be able to say whatever we want. And that's why I was thinking about that New York Times thing, right? Somehow whenever people say that stuff, what they really mean is now we can call each other gay Hitlers because we think that's funny.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Where it's just like, it's never like, I'm actually going to speak openly about all my ideas. It's just, I want to be able to like be kind of an edgelord, and if anyone complains about being an edgelord, you're being a corporate shill. Like, what are you talking about?
Right. So, Moon Studios was interesting because even before the pandemic, they were all online. They had people from all these different countries working there. And, they tout that a lot as this good thing. But the problem is that these founders kind of took their online mentality with and it seems like their online mentality was based on like the experiences maybe a 17-year-old has being on 4chan. And Jeff, I think part of the reason why I wasn't too surprised by this, like my real heartbreak moment with Moon Studios came. Happened. Right, it kind of came when like a year or 2 ago, when the one founder, Mailer, was posted on Reset Era and just went on that bizarre rant like months after Cyberpunk already happened, complaining about Cyberpunk and also complaining about games journalists, and it read exactly like something that a teenager would write on 4chan.
Yep.
And I was like, oh no, this is the kind of person that this is. And we just basically heard a lot more examples about that. And a lot of those are detailed in the story. We got some examples of the weird things they say. And, a lot of it's like, oh, we're just joking when we call each other, retarded and all these other things that are terrible. And it's just bizarre, one, to do that, but 2, to do it in your official workplace environment. And just because your workplace environment is on Skype or Discord, that doesn't make it okay.
Yeah, it's and to be clear, like the story makes it clear that no one is alleging that anything illegal happened. No one is alleging that was like and no one's like suing or anything like that. But repeatedly, Dean was told by the people who were giving them this information They just want people to understand what Moon is like before they go to work there. And they want people to understand, like, if you're going to go there, you're going to have to deal with these guys uh, primarily ribbing each other, like publicly in the Discord and saying stuff like the gay Hitler stuff or whatever, and using the R word towards each other, which is just absurd. In 2022, that people are still doing that in a work setting, like you said, Mike. Yeah, and they just want people like, hey, if you're going to go work at Moon, understand the situation you're getting in, and maybe you won't want to go work there. And I think that's actually the end goal of many of the people that spoke to Dean, where it's like they kind of want people to understand and probably avoid going to like have their heart broken by thinking they're going to go work on this magical game with these people that made these magical games, and then find out that it's actually kind of a toxic place to work.
Right. And, toxic and aggressive. And again, you kind of mentioned this, like nothing criminal, at least that we know about, has happened here. So, there's a difference, I guess, from this compared to maybe Activision Blizzard.
Right.
But it is still something that we thought was, worth writing about after all these people reached out to us for Dean to write about. And especially, I felt like it was important for us because I did talk about these games a lot. I did spend a lot of time praising these games. So it was important to me that people do know this aspect of the company, if that is a thing out there. And, they had an internal response, they had an internal meeting. And it's going to be interesting because, so now it's out there. I wonder how many people are going to come to their defense, right? And that's what they even said in the meeting, like, you can come to our defense if you want. Don't say anything bad about us. Well, I wonder if any of that's going to happen. I wonder if anybody really has it in them to defend this company, or if everybody is just kind of sick of it.
Yeah, it's kind of thing where it's like, okay, yeah, people could be like this, and I'm glad that I understand it. I'm glad that people came forward and gave us sort of this insight about what it's like to work there. And now I could sort of not put this studio on a pedestal. Not that I'm at a point in my life where I've stopped doing that in most situations, because most studios end up disappointing you. I still like the Ori games, I do, but it's I think that like when I look at like the studio going forward, I will be holding them at arm's length and be like, okay, is any of this stuff reflected in your game? No, but even still, it's the kind of thing where like, I don't know if I'm gonna want to like promote you necessarily by like talking about your stuff as much. And again, that's just a personal choice because it bums me out.
Yeah, a couple things about that. I mean, one, even they always had a weird relationship with gaming journalists. I knew even back before I knew much about them, and I was going on about how great they were. They never seemed interested in that, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying like, oh, they should pay attention to me because I'm some Ori fan. But even when we gave the Game of the Year, I tried to like tell them, hey, we gave you Game of the Year, and there was just like radio silence. Mm-hmm. They didn't care about that. And there was one person who spoke in the story who was like an ex-employee. And I kind of think about this, where they almost had the same problem where, they hated working there. It was traumatic for them. But they love Ori. They love those characters. And they have, like, the figurines on their desk and all that. And it's, how do you separate the stuff? Do you kind of bargain with yourself? And do you say, well, it's not just about these people. It's the whole team who made it. And maybe these games exist in spite of that. I don't know. I don't know how much of those two people are in this game. How much of that DNA is there. And then the other weird... Go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to say, and it's not like this doesn't have material effect on the people working on these games. It's not like this culture is like something that is contained. Microsoft is well aware of what this company is like. And when they got done with Ori 2, there is a reason that Private Division is publishing their next game and not Microsoft. Right. I was told this explicitly this morning, that Microsoft was aware, and everyone understood that that's what this company was like. And so it's clearly not the kind of thing where it's like, oh, this was just like a couple of jokes happening on Discord. This studio had a reputation, and it was hurting them financially because they had to take a deal with Private Division instead of like another big deal with Microsoft. And that affects everyone at that company.
I mean, it's probably telling that Microsoft was buying, all these companies, right? And here's one that they could probably have gotten for a pretty cheap price, and nothing happened. Nothing happened there. Of course, Mood Studios is like, we don't like Microsoft either, probably because they're too corporate or blah, blah, blah. The other interesting thing here, too, is some of this info about their next game, Jeff, this Project Forsaken.
Yeah. Yes, God.
Yeah. Right, and it's like their next game's gonna be this violent, like gritty action game thing. And there's this whole thing in the story where like one of the co-founders really wanted there to be a rape scene, and that's gonna be
Was
the
determined to have a rape
motivation.
scene in the game. Yes, yeah.
That's the motivation for the main character. You see, is that she got raped and now she's mad because that's deep and just wow, right? Like you're gonna go from the Ori games to that. It's bizarre.
Yes, it's and it's like it took a really long time for other people at the studio to convince them that the rape scene was a bad idea. And it's like, I like. It's one thing to like, okay, have creative differences, right? That's the kind of thing where you would imagine happens at a studio a lot. But this is the whole point of what like this oppressive, toxic work culture. Why it's a problem. Now imagine trying to argue with someone who is half the time in chat, like in your work chat, making jokes that you think are hurtful or mean spirited, and now you have to like have like a serious conversation with them about why sort of promoting your game based on a sexual assault is like a bad idea. Like it's got to be like it doesn't have to be. It's demonstrably traumatic for some people who said they were traumatized working there and have moved on and have like tried to rebuild their confidence in their workplace after working at Moons. So yeah, yeah, this stuff bums me out. I mean, I'm glad we were able to report it. I'm glad it was able to get out there. If some people are like, yeah, that doesn't matter to me, that's fine. That's your choice. It bothers me, and I'm glad I know.
Yeah, future advice for anybody who might think about leading a company: don't make Hitler jokes in any of your official work chats.
Yes, yeah. It's just
and it's bizarre to say. Jeff, me and you, we tease each other a lot.
Yes.
We insult each other a lot. It's always. It's usually in good fun. Even when we do it, it's done in a slightly light touch, and maybe even then, sometimes I'm like, maybe this isn't very professional. And sometimes I would do that in Slack, and I'd be like, maybe we shouldn't do that kind of thing on there. But even then, there was clearly a line to it, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're not using slurs.
We're not using slurs. We're not using hate speech.
Yes,
and that's the thing. Somebody on even Twitter was like, just wait until they find Jeff and Mike's Discord messages from their Discord server, then they're just going to be in trouble too. Mark my words. It's like, I don't say these kinds of things in there. And one, like, first off, I don't do that. Second off, like, that still wouldn't be my official work server where the people who work for me have to weed through this stuff just to find out that if they need to like tweak a level or something.
Yep. It's I mean, listen, if yeah, I mean, feel free to try to get us in trouble. Like people have done that for years now. People have been trying to get me fired. Like, so it wouldn't. There's nothing new here. Like, go ahead, give it a shot. I do not mind you trying because it's not worked yet. It's not going to work.
Yeah. But gosh, so there's that. Again, the whole story's on GamesBeat.com.
Yes.
Actually, just posted the link on the Reddit chat because somebody was asking about it. It's a long story, but
yeah, Rachel chat. Rachel, one of our coworkers, says it right. Like, there are people. These are people who get some kind of pleasure out of making other people uncomfortable.
Right.
And that's like the key to it, right?
It gets a kind of power thing out of it because, like, I can do this, and
like when we're going at each other, it's almost always done to actually make other people feel comfortable. It's like
usually
we're like,
we're de-escalating.
Yes, de-escalating, exactly. Yes,
or reflecting with humor.
Yes,
one of those
exactly.
things.
And it's like that's the key. And if you're doing it because you think making other people, especially people who work for you or who are below you on a totem pole, feel uncomfortable, I think you should be called out.
I think this is a cautionary tale because, again, this is one of the first studios that did the whole everybody's working remotely thing. And I still am a big fan of that, obviously. I think that is going to be the future in a lot of ways. But we still have to act professional, right? Just because we are online doesn't mean we can be online edgelords. And if somehow that was a part of your identity, and I get that. A lot of people were 18 and were on stupid message boards or something. I'm sure that when I was like 15 or 18... I was probably some sort of keyboard warrior who thought that I was being really smart and edgy and funny and witty or whatever. You gotta leave that stuff behind at a certain point. If it was a part of you, don't defend it, be ashamed of it and move on.
Exactly. Kind of just, I mean, it's the way I've always been. Like, think about who I was 5 years ago and be like, there's a lot about me I didn't like. I should be better. And that's what I've continued to try to do. Okay.
If you guys have any more questions about that, you can ask them. But we are going to move on for now.
Or if you have any questions about how PlayStation is better than Xbox, feel free to send us money as well.
Oh, is he back?
He's back.
He must love this then. We're shitting all over an
Yeah.
Xbox series, right?
Yeah, that's
Is
right.
he happy now or is he still mad at us?
I'm sure he's never been happy.
I'm sure he's never been happy.
All right, so there was a story this week from VGC about the initiative and how it's lost a lot of senior talent. Actually, the Knuble, did the rundown. I was looking at it and I kind of took this like verbatim. So I'm just going to read this because I thought it was pretty well put. Former employees said the hierarchy is very top down under Daryl Gallagher, who is the head of the initiative. He wants to make games the way he always made games, and that seems to be the biggest point of contention, where the initiative started. And this is like what I've heard internally, and I've heard it repeated elsewhere now. I think Jez over Windows Central kind of heard some similar stuff since I was on Grubb Snacks yesterday. That internally, the initiative was supposed to be this initiative that was going to try a new way of making games, and it was going to be a flatter structure, and people were going to be able to work on what they wanted, and that has been seemingly been thrown out the window because
like Valve style.
Valve style, exactly. That's exactly right. So Valve style, where you move your desk to the part of the office you want to work with the people you want to work with on the thing you want to work on. It seems like they are not going to do that anymore. And the reason is because Daryl Gallagher and the people who are in charge of the initiative have a vision for how they want to make Perfect Dark, and they want the people working on the game to be working on that vision. And that seems to be yes, and that's kind of the way a lot of game development works. And it's like, if you were sold one bill of goods and it comes back and like, oh, now you have to do something different, it is very little surprise that many of those people have left the initiative because they're like, I thought I was getting one thing. I can get paid a lot of money, maybe even more money to go somewhere else where I do have more autonomy. So I'm going to do that. And that's happened across the industry. My biggest takeaway is, and I think this is the thing that most people are concerned about, what does this mean for Perfect Dark in the game? Does this mean the game is still years and years and years away? I wouldn't say 2024 seems very likely for Perfect Dark. So it was one of those ones that was internally targeted for 2023. Like last year, they were like, okay, probably 2023. But this game doesn't sound like it's in any trouble, actually. It sounds like they've actually figured out what they want to do, and they're working toward that. And now everyone at the initiative that's left and the new people they're bringing on and all of Crystal Dynamics all are fully on board with this new way of doing things, or with the kind of the old way of doing things that's not this new way.
Yeah, is Crystal Dynamics the lead developer now or like co-developer now? What exactly is the relationship here?
I mean, I would just say they're fully ingrained in the development of Perfect Dark. Like they are integral. I can't say that word, but yes, they are. You would not be able to like,
integral?
Yeah, you would not be able to like just replace them with another support studio but I mean, they're massive, and the initiative was never big enough to make a Perfect Dark. They were always like 75 people at most. So you're saying most of the people who are working on Perfect Dark are at Crystal Dynamics? Yes, absolutely. And then that was kind of always the plan as soon as they brought that on. And that was like, again, like most of the people that were going to be working on Perfect Dark were never going to be at the initiative, is kind of how it is. It was always that was always intended. The initiative was always going to be a smaller studio that got ideas started. I think that also is part of the initiative name. Take the initiative to start something new, and then you bring in support studios, and they just so happen the support studio is a really big one with a big name and a pedigree and stuff like that. So it's a little bit different, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about Perfect Dark based on what I'm hearing, basically.
Okay, fair enough.
There was a new Starfield video this week where they kind of they're not showing gameplay, right? They're going to do that at E3, but they are doing these promotional videos where they sort of talk about aspects and sort of around the borders of these things, around the periphery, and they talked about how they are going to scan actors and models in so that the NPCs actually look good, and they're like, yeah, our NPCs won't be ugly this time. They also said that if you want to join the bad pirates, you could still be a good guy by tattling to the cops, and I thought of you, Mike Minotti. So
I mean, I trust me, I agree with you, but I always still love how upset you get.
Yes, it was just like, what do you like? Why is it so black and white? Like, I bet it will not be that black and white in the game. Just the way that
probably not. Yeah. I think it was probably just worded like you could be a good guy, which means exclusively snitching on people to the police.
Yes, right, exactly. I bet like even in that thing, it's like the people. I bet when you get to the end of that game, the people you are snitching to turn out to also be the bad guys. Like, I almost guarantee that's how it works out. It was just such a weird way to put it.
Yeah. Also, not because of any great social commentary, but just because that is such an easy and familiar trope
Exactly.
in RPGs.
Absolutely, yes. Either way, though, every little tidbit they give about Starfield gets me more excited. Like I'm already pretty excited
hopeful,
about
man.
it. And every time they're like, "Oh yeah, we've got this system. This is happening. We are going to make the NPCs look good." I'm like, okay, wow, all right. They kind of
We've been getting some good fantasy stuff. I feel like recently.
Yes.
I don't. The sci-fi itch hasn't been fully scratched. There's a little bit of that in Horizon, but I'm ready for. It's been a while since I feel like we've had a good big sci-fi game. Of course, now that I said that, somebody's going to remind me of like the biggest game.
Well, I mean,
a sci-fi game from 3 months ago.
I mean, Halo Infinite was the biggest sci-fi game from 3 months ago. But I know
yeah,
what you mean. Still,
I guess that. You know what? That's exactly what. Yeah. Fuck me.
You pretty much just described it exactly.
Right.
But yeah, I still know what you mean because Halo is just
right.
Halo, right? It is. It's like its
I guess
own
I mean
thing.
RPG.
Yes,
I guess I
that's
mean
fair.
RPG.
That's fair. What do you think of that Hogwarts Legacy state of play, Mike?
Yeah, we watched that live. I think the game looks like it could be good. I think there's a lot in there that seems about right. There's like some stuff that maybe I'm not in love with, but I anticipated,
Sure.
like, maybe too much of an emphasis on combat, stuff like that. But it looks like what a AAA Harry Potter game should look like. There is some smart stuff there. I like the Room of Requirement acting as this kind of customizable video game hub thing. Like, wow, that makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Actually, that's a really smart use of that idea. I like that they set it in the 1800s, so it doesn't have to be super connected to the books and those characters, right? So we're not going to have the Avengers or Guardians of the Galaxy effect where we have a Severus Snape walking around who's like, oh, who's this guy? He kind of looks like the Snape from the movies, but not really. So that makes sense. But talk about this. There's a lot of complicated feelings about Harry Potter right now. Jeff actually watched that video essay that you were talking about Harry Potter last night. That was really good. It was really interesting and funny.
Yes.
Who wrote that?
That's Sean, Shaun, who's a pretty famous or YouTuber. And if you just search Sean Harry Potter, I mean, that's the name of the video is Harry Potter.
Yes, that's worth watching. It's funny because he talks about the depiction of the goblins in that, right? And in this game, like a goblin is the bad guy, and there's like this goblin revolt, and part of me is gonna be interested in that because I feel like the goblins have a reason to revolt.
Yeah.
So,
yes, exactly.
We'll see what they do with that.
Yeah, and it's I mean, I think Harry Potter could serve as a fine basis for growth and storytelling. But I thought that about Star Wars, and then I got it, and everyone lost their goddamn mind. So I'm not hopeful that like this is going to be the last Jedi of Harry Potter or anything like that. They're probably going to just try to do a fun sort of little kind of. Honestly, it looks like Bully. It looks like Bully, right? It's Bully, but with Harry Potter.
Seems similar-ish. I actually never played Bully, but that sounds.
I've only played it a little bit, exactly. Yeah, that was kind of the same way. But like this is what I imagine Bully plays like if you play a lot of it. Yeah. But I'm like, okay, that people like that could work. It makes, it fits really well. I mean, Bully is a boarding school. Hogwarts is a boarding school. Like it all just kind of should work. So, I don't know. When I was watching it was very hard for me to tell if it was something that I'd be interested in. It's kind of like going to come down to the quality of each of these systems. Cause there was a lot in there. Like, oh, you're going to be brewing potions.
I did roll my eyes a little bit. The brewing potions like move your analog stick in a circle. Like you're using the board. Like that seems like a game mechanic from 10 years ago.
Yes,
we really need to do that part.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, if there's like some wiggle room here where I could be creative, maybe that'll be exciting. But are they afraid of doing that in this broadly appealing Harry Potter game? And growing magical plants. I'm like, is this going to be like a full Viva Pinata sort of? I guess Viva Pinata isn't plants, but like it's still like the idea maps a little bit where it's like you're just going to be breeding these plants or whatever and trying to like cross pollinate them and find new ways of making new magical plants, or is it just going to be paint by numbers? I think that's actually my concern. Are all of these mini games going to be paint by numbers? And if that's the case, I will probably be pretty bored. I think so. I'm a little bit hesitant. I saw a lot of people who thought the game looked very good. So I'm like, okay, some people are impressed here. I could just be missing something that happens all the time with games, and I finally play them, and it turns out I really like them. So I'm like,
yeah, you were a real down in Guardians of the Galaxy
exactly.
Just based on that trailer until you played it. So maybe it's not even that. Maybe there's something special here that you didn't even think would be special. We'll see. Again, there's complicated feelings about there. It certainly seems like it has enough promise that it absolutely can be very good.
Yes, it's coming out holiday 2022, and all of that said, Mike, I don't think I'm going to play it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, kind of feel like I don't know. There's going to be lots of other good games coming out, and Just kind of talk about like that Moon Studio stuff. You know, how that it bums me out to think about that studio like that. It bums me out to think about Harry Potter these days. And so, just on a personal level, like I'm like, this bums me out. If it gets to the point where like we need someone to review it, or I need to do my job, whatever, I'll do my job. I'll do my job.
I can play it. Rachel can play it or something if Rachel wants to. I don't know. Don't worry.
Yeah,
I'll play it. I'll let you know how many slaves are in it.
Thank you. Exactly. That's the most important to me. They did show off the slaves though, Mike, in the trailer. They're just like, yep, here are the slaves.
Here are the slaves. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. All right, let's move. If you guys want any deeper talk about Hogwarts Legacy, we did do the video yesterday it's here on the Sit YouTube channel, so you could go check that out. We kind of talked more deeply about these feelings and stuff. That's why we're not going to waste your time with it right now. But honestly, maybe just go watch that Sean video instead. All right, PlayStation supply has become extremely dry, Mike. The Xbox outsold the PS5 in Europe for the first time in 5 months. This is coming like as I think the Xbox outsold PlayStation in the MPD in the United States in February. So we are kind of looking at like, it just seems like it's not like, okay, this month all the PlayStation 5s went to Japan or something like that. It just seems like they have, like, there's not any in the supply chain right now. It seems like it's that bad. So do you foresee a time when this stuff lets up at all? Like before the end of this year, do you foresee that happening?
End of this year. I wonder if they're going to make a big push to like get a good supply out for this holiday, maybe, but I don't know. I just don't know if it's feasible. Yeah. I mean, you probably know more about me. What do you think?
I'll say that I think that there was maybe some hope once that by this holiday things would be a little bit loosened up in the supply chain. And now with Ukraine and gas prices and inflation and COVID flaring up in China, I would say probably not, almost certainly not. And then on top of that, it's like, okay, Xbox outsold PS5 in Europe. What does that really mean? Almost certainly Xbox Series S's and not Xbox Series X's, which seem to be actually just as supply constrained as the PS5 when you really look at it. It just turned out that, like, you know, both companies had their idea of like what their bottom tier console should be. One was like, oh, the exact same thing, $100 cheaper and digital only, so no disc. So we make up some of the money on the other side with like by selling you digital games. And Xbox is like, well, we're going to do that digital only thing, but we're going to make it a much cheaper, more affordable system to build, and then we're going to sell it for $200 less. And like there was pros and cons to each. Right now, obviously, the right move in hindsight was the $200 less one, that it's easier to manufacture because they are able to keep up with demand a little bit. So, and it's like trying to get a digital only PS5 you might as well just, it took me forever to get mine. Like I really wanted one of those, and it took me forever to find one. So, and that was like when supply wasn't nearly as bad as it is now. All right, let's get to this Gran Turismo situation. Mike, you reviewed this game. What if I told you that since you reviewed it, they've raised the price of microtransactions? That was last week. Then this week, they raised the price of in-game currency to buy those cars so that the grind is like much worse now. And no one's been able to play it for, I believe, like 30-ish hours because the servers have been down. This applies to the offline, or like to the single-player mode as well. You can't even play it offline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the microtransactions and the in-game currency things, that stuff's a little weird. The online thing is bizarre, right? I don't know how in 2022 we still have this problem where you need to be connected online to play single-player games. I don't know there's an online component.
Beef Hammer says it's finally back up, so let's just correct that real quick. But it was down for like at least 30 hours and no one could play it.
I wonder they're going to give everybody like 10,000 credits or something to make up for it. But it's ridiculous. It's pretty stupid. And it seems like this is maybe a polyphonic issue here because And like, so the last Gran Turismo Sport was super online focused, and I wonder if they just used a lot of that same back end for this one and didn't really care that this one like wasn't that game. I don't know. It seems pretty stupid. I just see Spin Noir say, reviewers should adjust their scores so these things will keep happening.
I get the thought there. I get the thought. But really, what I think is happening, Spin Noir, a lot of people do make their decisions based on review scores. But I think it's actually much more effective to keep the bad news in the headlines. And so by talking about it here, putting up stories, people talking about, if this becomes the discussion, when people go to like Google it, they'll be like, oh, wow, okay, yeah, there's the score, but look at all these headlines about what the game is like right now. It updating your score is like a kind of thing where it's like, okay, I'm updating my score because it's not playable right now. How long is that going to last? First of all, when it's in the first hour, it's like, you don't know it's going to last 30 hours. Then you get to 30 hours, you're like, they got to fix it any minute right now. Like, oh, yeah, okay, I'm not going to give it a 0 because you can't play it right now. There's a lot to consider. It's a headache, and I think it's much more effective to keep it in the news rather than try to mess with the score.
Yeah, exactly. It's just gonna bring it is weird, it is bad, it is embarrassing, and it needs to just be like, I hope they don't just be like, oh good, we fixed the servers. I hope they're like, oh, we need to fix this system. It shouldn't work like this. The microtransaction stuff I don't know as much about. I also wasn't like, when I played the game, reviewed it, I wasn't super concerned with, oh, I have to own every car. I actually very rarely even went and bought individual cars. I was just unlocking ones through races and through roulettes, and that was good enough for me because, again, I wasn't being a completionist about it. But if you are, I can imagine that would be very annoying.
Yes. Let's see. Apparently they said that Polyphony is going to look at the in-game economy as well. This stuff is still happening because this is like, they just got the game back up and running.
It's always so weird how you just don't err on the side of being generous with that stuff, right?
Right.
Even with without that, like microtransactions, because Halo Infinite got not, people hated it, but also they weren't selling very many things because everything was overpriced.
Right.
And I have to imagine that's going to be a similar problem for Gran Turismo 7, who's going to spend real world money on these cars if they're overpriced, because you're not really paying for much, are you? You're paying for a digital car in this one video game. How much can that actually possibly be worth?
I see. To me, you want to adopt the blockchain, Mike. I see where you're going with this.
To me, that should cost about as much as like a bouncy ball from one of those crank machines at the grocery store. At least that's a real thing I can own, right? Yeah,
good point.
Like you want me to pay like $10, $5, whatever it is for this car, for one car in this game? Like, don't need. Come on.
I feel like I could argue with you, but you're right. You're right. You're actually right. All right. Let's see. Elden Ring is a very big new video game. It is. Sure is. In fact, it is the biggest new IP in the European Union since the launch of The Division in 2016. And I'm suppose that's being measured like demonstrably, like they're able to show that in the numbers, and that's why it's like we're using EU. But it seems like one of the biggest ones in a long time worldwide as well, based on the fact that it sold 12 million copies since launch. And that's with 1 million copies in Japan alone.
Already a bigger hit than Luigi's Mansion 3.
Right, the impossible threshold. The
impossible has happened.
Yes. It's anything but niche. Yeah, it's anything but like just for Souls fans only. It had everything going in its way, and it capitalized on each one of those things. And it just like, yes, all the memes are real, and also it's a 97 on Metacritic, and all your friends are talking about it, and you don't want to be left out. And the FOMO is wild because people are doing crazy things and telling you about it. You want to go try to do those things yourself and tell them your own stories. And is this okay, Mike? Let me ask you this: do you think any other studio can really replicate what happened here?
No.
Yeah.
I think this is like a culmination of From Software's rise, right? Of making these games that people really like, that start with this small fan base and then kind of get mainstream, and then eventually you're able to make one that obviously seems like the next step in some ways, and there's like a lot of anticipation for it, and then it comes out and everybody really likes it, and that's what you get. There was a lot that went into this. This is no accident. You can't just Stranger of Paradise this.
Which is a shame, because we should be able to Stranger of Paradise anything when you think about it. I agree with you. I think that I think other studios will absolutely take lessons, and they will try to take many of the big lessons. And I think, people talk about them like the, less hand holding and trusting the player and stuff like that. And I think all that stuff is important. It's the stuff I like in gaming. But yeah, I think I said this on Grubb's Next when someone asked me about it. It's very easy to dismiss this stuff if you're a game developer who has been making games for a long time and been doing it one way for a very long time. Be like, this is a fluke, and if anyone else tried to do it, wouldn't work. And to that point, they're probably right. But also, I do wish games would trend in this direction as opposed to like. I'm trying to think of an example, but like any Ubisoft game, but even like Red Dead Redemption 2.
What do you think Fallout 7, or not Fallout, what do you think Far Cry 7 is going to look like, Jeff?
Yes.
Is it going to look more like Elden Ring or more like Far Cry 3 still?
Yes, exactly. I believe that this is an accurate breakdown of the sales for Elden Ring. 44% on PC, 27% on PS5, 16% on Xbox platforms in total, and 13% on PS4. The most surprising thing to me there is 44% on PC.
That is pretty surprising. That's skewing really heavily PC.
Right. So that's why I'm like, I would like to double check these numbers to make sure they're for real. But normally big games sell best on console. I will say though that whenever I'm on TikTok and I'm scrolling through, every third thing is someone playing Elden Ring live, pointing their camera, their phone at their PC, and they are playing it on a PC, and they're playing the Steam version. So maybe basically based on my TikTok research, everybody, maybe these numbers are accurate. Okay, so these are the European numbers, is what Danger Man Lead is saying, and 44% on PC for Europe isn't that unusual. That is true for Europe. Okay. More numbers. Triangle Strategy sold 800,000 copies in 2 weeks. That's pretty good for that game. It's kind of like what you would expect. Like that game in that genre, that type, like the 2 to 3 million range is right for that, right?
Yeah, I think even if you get to 1 million and above, you're pretty happy with what that is.
Yes, and 2 weeks, 800,000. That's very good. The game will likely keep selling as well. It'll probably. I don't know. Did Nintendo publish that? Does that mean it probably won't come out elsewhere? But I mean, it is on Switch, and it's going to sell well on Switch.
I think they did. So yeah.
Nintendo Switch. Speaking of Nintendo Switch Online is getting 3 new Sega Genesis games as part of that subscription service: Light Crusader, Super Fantasy Zone, and Alien Soldier. I think I played a lot of Fantasy Zone, but I don't think I ever played Super Fantasy Zone. So. Check these out.
Fantasy Zone's so weird because it's the Sega game that's been ported to a zillion things, but I barely played it. It's like one of those side-scrolling shoot-'em-ups, but it's very colorful. When you go left or right.
Me and my best friend in elementary school, I was the Nintendo kid. He was the Sega kid. I'd go over his house, and every single time we would play through Fantasy Zone, and it was great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Light Crusader is a treasure game, but it's like Treasure making a weird, like isometric Zelda, and I remember I didn't get super into it. But I think some people like it. And then Alien Soldier is also very good, and it's another treasure game, and it's a shoot 'em up, kind of like Gunstar Heroes. It's a lot harder. It's perhaps too hard, but it is very fun still and worth checking out. It's one that I would probably encourage you to go ahead and use those save states.
Yeah, there you go. And the rewind feature, which is built into all these games. Ubisoft delayed Roller Champions again. This is a game I think I heard was going to come out.
Really?
Was going to come out, I think, this month, and now they've delayed it again. So
I wonder what's wrong, because I played that at whatever that last E3 was that actually happened, probably 2019, and it seemed pretty fun. It seemed like, all right, yeah, this is what the game is. It's like one of those, It basically has a bit of that vibe of the game with the cars where you play soccer, Rocket League. I don't know why I brain farted that one. Which, once you got it, you send it out there. So I don't know what it is that they have been working on since then.
Yep. Let's see. You know what? With Roller Champions, it's like Ubisoft's all their Blueprint games, all their big IPs that aren't like Far Cry, that aren't Assassin's Creed, are just in this weird state. Like that Skull and Bones game's never going to come out, and the Roller Champions, it's just
Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Beyond Good and Evil 2, exactly. I think they just everyone gets to work on the thing they know they can count on to sell, and everything else kind of like pushed up the side or pushed out to die, like that that Battle Royale game that is already dead.
Right. I just don't know, like with Roller Champions, I don't know why you didn't just release it 3 years ago, see if anybody likes it, and then you can either stop supporting it, or you can make more content for it. That surely would have been a better business decision than to continue dumping development money into it for another 3 years. And I'm all for delaying games, but again, this thing seemed feature complete in some form 3 years ago. So
right.
I don't know.
It seems like a weird example of that delaying games, because it's a very long time. Let's see, release dates. Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak is coming June 30th for Switch and PC. Sniper Elite 5 is coming May 26th. The Quarry, which is the new one from Supermassive. The studio, I always get confused with the developer of Hades, but Quarry...
I always get, Supergiant.
Supergiant,
I always do too.
Yes. The Quarry from Supermassive, the one that does the horror games, basically, June 10th. And then Moss Book 2 is March 31st. And that's coming for PSVR 1, I think. So, there you go.
Wow.
A few other news stories here. Riot has acquired a stake in Fortish Productions. This is the animation studio that made the League of Legends Arcane show for Netflix. So everyone really impressed with the animation of that show. Seems like Riot's like, well, we want to like maybe capitalize on this and use this as maybe our internal production company for making television shows based on all our stuff. So Valorant is probably next up to get a show, I would imagine. Sure. See, Tencent has made a majority acquisition into Tequila Works, which is the studio that made games like The Sexy Brutale, which is a very good game if people have never checked that out. It's a murder mystery game where you have to go find out like how people are getting killed, or maybe you have to kill people. I can't remember. It was a long time ago when I played it, but I remember it being very good. And then there's no EA Play Live this year, which we've talked about before, but kind of getting confirmed. I guess it's nice that they came out and just told people, hey, don't expect it. Do you think that what do you think the game mess looks like this year, Mike?
I think it looks like a mess.
Yeah.
To put it succinctly. Yeah, I think it's gonna be all over the place. Remember last year it was kind of nice. We had everything like in that 1 week again, but the year before was when the game mess started. I think it's gonna be like a 2020 thing and not a 2021 thing.
I think you might be right. And then finally, A Plague Tale's getting its a TV series, which is like, it feels like every week we get one of these where it's like video game is getting a TV series. But that Halo show is about to come out for real. I think it's finally about to drop like next week or something like that.
Yeah, some people have seen episodes. I know Gene Park wrote something about
he did.
at least the first
maybe that's why I felt like it. I'm like, I thought that show had already come out and stuff. I have no intent to watch that show, Mike.
Same.
Yes, I'm like, hey, good luck with that, everybody.
I even have Paramount Plus because I watch my Star Treks.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna watch a Halo show.
Yep.
I tell you what, for all the reasons I finally like got on board with Halo Infinite. Story really wasn't one of them. So
yes, exactly, and that the Halo Infinite world was fun to explore and it was fun to come across stuff. And I'm like, there's lore here, and then I just kept going.
So I feel like so much of the Halo lore the last few games has been this weird, like, deifying obsession with Cortana, and I am over it. I can't imagine what the Halo fans think.
I mean, honestly, that's why I like the story in Infinite, because you could tell that they were like, we fucked up, we're hitting the reset button. We're sorry. Which I don't know. You had to like stop playing the press build of that and had to go back to.
I'm not too worried about that.
Okay, yeah, right, yeah. I'm just like that's how they ended. It was like yes. I'm like okay, there you go. All right, Mike, that does it for the news. I do believe we got quite a few super chats in, and I'm very excited to hear from my best friend. So
I am too, but first, Jeff, we need to take a short break because somebody got a large soda at Subway and refilled it 2 times. So
all right, everybody,
give me a moment.
You heard the man. We'll be right back after this. All right, Mike,
I'm gonna go pee is what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's gonna go urinate. He's gonna go stare at his sexy Vaporeon doll. Game S TV series when? Yeah, that's a good question. We should do that. Story was decent. It was a setup for more. I agree. Like it was like it's all I needed. I don't play games for the story though, so I am not the person to judge. Like if that's what you care about, go listen to other people who are vibing with you better than I do. I fail to vibe with you, and I'm sorry about that. I want to hear his pee, says Nick Turbo. It's believe I have to do something about this. What you've just said.
No, we can't do that. We're gonna get banned. Hi, hello.
We can't do something about Nick Turbo, or we can't hear him pee.
No, we can't hear him pee. Like, where are you trying to get us banned?
That's a good point. It is like suggestive, right? Like it's
yeah,
right.
Some freak out there is like, oh yes, I want to hear it.
Kanuba wants me to play the flute. My wife loves playing the recorder, and just to annoy me, and so I've hidden them all around the house, and I forgot where I put them. So, you aren't here for the deep story of Elden Ring. I'm a little bit like I'm glad that it exists. This is how I am with so much stuff in games, where I am glad I'm glad it's there, so I can ignore it,
Chef,
and it makes it better.
Get ya.
Listen,
they're gonna get you.
This is how I played Stardew Valley, where there are characters to romance, and I'm glad they exist, so I can ignore them. It makes my isolation feel that much more mwah in that game. And it's like part of my role playing, where my character is not going to engage with that stuff, but because it's a choice I'm making, it feels more meaningful. And that's what it's definitely how it is in Elden Ring, where
that makes sense.
All these big fucking giant people who used to run this world and now have all gone insane. Like they got shit going on, but I'm just trying to like get to the end so I could be safe. Like if becoming Elden Lord is what I need to do to like not be in this nightmare world anymore, that's what I'm gonna do. And that's what my character cares about, and doesn't really care about like how you ended up like being infected by scarlet rot and becoming an insane person. Star Scourge Radon. But yes.
Okay.
Nick Turbo, the whole point is like, never mind.
What are you yelling about?
Nick Turbo called me
What's
a
the
virgin
destiny?
because I wouldn't romance
Whoa.
a girl in Stardew Valley. Doesn't make any
Yes.
sense.
It's crazy.
I mean, I guess
Losing
your
their mind.
Stardew Valley character is basically
Oh
a
yes.
virgin.
Oh, hyper virgin, absolutely.
Hyper
Only cares
virgin.
about making hops for beer.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah.
I want to be. Now I do want to be a virgin. That's what they do.
That's what they do. Yep. Okay.
Shit.
Here we go. We're getting back into it. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Mike, I do believe we have some super chats, and I would prefer if you would read them to me right now.
Well, since you prefer it, so let's do it. Goddamn. The first one here from Grant Taylor says, "Can't confirm from Tuesday. Mike is not a virgin. He bangs all the women in Vaporeons in my life. If you can hear me, Mike, please stop. I beg you." Next super chat.
right,
Irio Delgado says, "Mike, is Final Fantasy Origin Stranger of Paradise writing on par with Kingdom Hearts? It is worse."
So better in a real way, huh? Yeah. So it's actually better. You just can't admit it.
I'll tell you what, they both have in this session, and a lot of Japanese games do this, a lot of Square Enix games, even Final Fantasy 14 falls into this trap a bit, where for some reason they love this idea of like light and darkness being like these two forces that must be kept in equilibrium. Right? I don't know why this is always this major plot point with these things. So there's a lot of that in Stranger of Paradise also, and it's very stupid and doesn't actually mean anything or symbolize anything.
Right.
It's literally
just
this weird mechanical
Yes.
construct of the world for no reason.
It's just D&D nerds like making the rules canon in their own world and stuff like
Yes.
that. Yes. This podcast is very weird, Mike. That first super chat happened. My kid came running downstairs crying because she's eating a cinnamon roll, and I think she just wanted to show off that she got a cinnamon roll by herself, which she's not supposed to be able to do. And then we started talking. Sexy Vaporeon. I don't know. This is a weird podcast, Mike. I'd like us to just keep continuing.
All right, let's do that. We'll see. Also from Iro Delgado. Well, don't worry, Jeff. This will normalize things. Iro Delgado says, "I looked up Turbo the Snail on Rule 34, and well, ... Oh, well, I'll tell you what. You have fun with that. I've never actually seen the Turbo movie. I don't even know if there are any sexy characters in it. I don't know. I don't know if it's like
that answers the question for you itself. Yes.
Yeah. Remember the Bee movie? Didn't the Jerry Seinfeld Bee just fall in love with a human?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, it's the Sonic the Hedgehog 06 of Jerry Seinfeld media.
That movie probably came out in 06, actually. It was probably a weird time.
Yeah.
Isaac Spencer says, "Thanks for always making Friday afternoon great." It was probably great until these super chats. Poston Theory says, "Have you guys seen the video essay titled MMICUL, The Problem with Hype, Marketing in Video Games? As journalists, I'd love to hear your thoughts." I have not seen
I've not
this,
either.
Jeff.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that. Now I'm on a video essay kick ever since Jeff had me watch that 2-hour NFT thing, and at first I balked at it.
Have you watched all of his other ones? You should watch all of his other ones.
Well, his masterpiece by far is the one making fun of Nostalgia Critics' The Wall video, which I am obsessed with that now. I spent that whole night just watching other videos of people talking about how awful it is. And I barely ever consumed anything with the Nostalgia Critics. I had no idea he was this weird hack. But man, that video just destroying him. He has that incredible line where he's like, I forget what his name is. Let's say it's Brian. It's like, Brian wants to be an artist and a filmmaker, but he can't be because he has nothing interesting to say. He has no intellectual curiosity. In his idea of humor is, what if Mario met Batman? And it was just the most epic teardown of a person. I was like, wow.
What's the comic book or the web comic that Lost is from? Is this Lost? What is that web comic? Do you remember?
Oh, Control Alt Delete.
Yes. H Bomber Guy did a video of Control Alt Delete, which I think you would really like. So watch that one too.
Okay, I will. Killer of Xbox says, talk about TI and Xbox games
Great rapper.
Studios mismanagement. Xbox Game Studio is a joke. What's TI?
The Initiative, not Ti the rapper. I'm sorry for making that joke.
Well, to be clear, I don't know who TI the rapper is either.
Fair enough. It's
Sounds
one
like
of the
a
members
staff-
of the Wu-Tang group, Mike. Yes.
Oh, is he the singer?
Yes, he's the bass player.
Okay. Well, we did, so I guess he's happy.
Yeah, I mean it's a slight mess that they're figuring out, but it's not as bad as I think as people are extrapolating.
Oh, he's not gonna like you saying that, Jeff.
Is this Xbox Killer?
Yes, it's killer of Xbox. You
I'm
should
sorry.
say that. You should say that.
Shit's on fire.
It's on fire.
Phil
Perfect Dark's
Spencer,
never coming out.
It's never coming
the
out.
The whole
Phil
Xbox
Spencer
brand will be
shit his
dead in 10
pants.
years.
That's right. Yes, it's all bad.
All right. Now that we've appropriately ducked him, Paul Heyman asks, after the latest Gran Turismo 7 patch, I now felt even worse buying it, nerfing the payouts even more. Sony should have been more open about this before launch. I feel bad about this, Jeff, because I liked this game a lot.
I mean, what can you do? Like, listen, this is okay. Maybe
I told people to buy this game. I'm not super familiar with how the economies in these games usually work because I said my review. I'm not some big Gran Turismo person, and I usually just don't even look at some of that stuff because I don't have much of an interest in it. But I feel bad if it's worse than far more worse than is expected for this franchise, and it's throwing people off.
And it's like a lot of these companies have tried the pulling the wool over the eyes of presenting one game to reviewers and then a few weeks later updating it to be the game they almost always intended it to really be. Maybe we can hold off on a review, and I think we might start doing that in some cases. Absolutely, but this is a situation where you don't necessarily need to get. I don't think anyone was getting mad at reviewers, but we need to be we need to be yelling at these publishers to stop doing this. This is unacceptable. They should not be doing this.
Yeah. Killer of Xbox is back and says Fable, Avowed, and Hellblade 2 are all in development hell. Screen cap. Are any of those games in development hell?
Which ones were they? I wasn't listening.
Fable, Avowed, and Hellblade 2?
Fable, Avowed, and Hellblade 2. I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure.
Is there any indication that they are? Or is he just saying things?
I think people have said probably that phrase about each one of those games at some point.
I mean, they were all announced early-ish. We knew that.
Right, and I think a lot of people just always underestimate that game development is always hard, and basically every game is in a little bit of hell. Even when I was talking about Dragon Age 4 the other day, and I'm like, it's on pace, and it's hitting its milestones, and then I always added and it's still super difficult, and people are having big headaches because it's a big game, and that it has its own difficulties. But those games, I think, are all meeting their milestones as well for the most part.
E. Jones says, do you think this is the reason why Xbox didn't look into purchasing Moon Studio, or were they just not interested in being bought?
Yes,
I think maybe Moon Studio didn't want to be bought, but Microsoft has the ability to buy companies the size of Moon Studio if they want to. They would have been able to give those two co-founders just take this and start a new studio money.
Yes, yeah, fuck off money.
That much about your your anonymity. So I think, yes. I think, well, so, and it's mentioned in the story, also Xbox wasn't super pleased with their ability to reach milestones and stuff like that, outside of just the toxicity of the workplace. So it seems like Xbox was done with them. They were interested in an Ori sequel because the first Ori did sell really well, and it was one of their best reviewed games in a long time. But once Moon Studios was done making Ori games, yeah, they're probably very happy to move away from them.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Dylan Dodd says, why did all three of you sound like you disliked the Harry Potter game? Single player, no microtransactions, great visuals, deep gameplay. Did I miss something? I think we all said the game looked fine, or it could be good.
I'm skeptical of it, but it's that's just me being unsure about a movie license game. That's all.
Sure.
I'm just, it's hard for me to get hyped up for that stuff. And I'm looking at it and being like, am I going to be into this? And I don't know. And my default stance these days is usually I probably won't be, but if it's going to surprise me, maybe it'll surprise me. But I've said again, I'm probably not going to play this game. So.
Simple the Rapper Music says, with TMNT Cowabunga Collection on the way, do either of you have traumatic memories of the dam level in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on NES? Jeff, I never had that first game. I didn't even really know that it existed until the Angry Video Game Nerd. I just had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, which was the arcade game port, and then the Manhattan Project, which were fantastic games. So I was safe.
I definitely had that how cartridges would swap between friend groups and stuff, would you just end up with one. That definitely happened with that game with me, and I remember playing it, and that's the one that's top down, right? And you go under into the
it's
sewers
top
and stuff.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
I just remember it being very difficult, and maybe that was the dam level. I didn't remember thinking like, oh, this is the hard dam level. I think it was almost just like, oh, this game is very difficult for me as a kid. So, yeah, I'm not traumatized because I was just like, a lot of games are hard. Like that's what games are right now. So I just kind of considered it to be another hard game.
TMNT 2, that intro level is like one of the best intro levels ever for me. That apartment building that's on fire. For some reason, there's giant pinball like balls dropping down the staircases. And there's Pizza Hut pizza or whatever you have to pick up. That was great stuff. Symbol the Rapper Music also asked, did you guys like Mad World on Wii? Jeff, I never played Mad World, actually. I missed out on that one.
I played it and I was it was okay. It wasn't anything great.
Georgie asks, Perfect Dark have a chance at 2023 because of Crystal Dynamic?
I think there's a chance, but I would put people's expectations much more into early 2024, summer 2024, around that time.
Supernova asks, is this an indication that Chad Spencer went to Moon Studios to acquire them, like Kermit's method from Sesame Street? I am not familiar with Kermit's Sesame Street method, Jeff.
Yeah, the Kermit Sesame Street method of acquisition. Right, that was it's very famous. I believe Trump wrote about that in his book. I believe. I don't know. I don't know what that means either. But I'll say that were aware of the studio's reputation and didn't want to work with them again. So yeah.
I'm usually pretty well up on my Kermit lore, I have to say. So I don't know what this is a reference to. Antonio Morales says, what's up, guys? Just want to say thanks for the shows. I went live on TikTok and lost a third of my viewers as soon as I spoke. It's not easy going live. That's what Kermit said, right? It's not easy going live.
Yes, that was a Kermit original. Yep.
Mm-hmm. SSSRCR85 asks, Mike, taking my 5 and 3-year-old girls to Epcot and Magic Kingdom in 2 weeks. What other park would they like? Animal Kingdom or SeaWorld? Any others? Any tips? Animal Kingdom has a lot of animals, and that's good. It can be a very big park. It doesn't have as many like rides for little kids, especially for maybe a 3-year-old. SeaWorld I haven't been to in a while. SeaWorld is like half animal shows, and then the other half is like going to like an amusement park, like with big roller coasters and stuff like that. It's almost like half Cedar Point or half like a Six Flags. So I would probably say Animal Kingdom over SeaWorld. Aside from those, like Magic Kingdom is definitely going to be the best theme park for 5 and 3-year-olds. Universal might have some stuff for the young kids, with like especially Islands of Adventure as a whole Dr. Seuss area. That's pretty kid friendly. And then the Harry Potter stuff, some kids might like some of that, but nothing on the level of a Magic Kingdom in terms of kid friendliness. Kyle Martin says, Elden Ring made me realize that Skyrim/Fallout games have a great balance of allowing discovery while giving some direction. Are there other games that do a good job of walking the line between too much hand-holding and too little direction? I actually kind of think Elden Ring does do that pretty well. Yeah. I do think it does a pretty good job of kind of pointing you in the direction you're supposed to go, and you can talk to NPCs and you can kind of get an idea of what to do without having to literally like show everything on a map or on a quest log, or like click X to activate this quest, and now the compass will point you to the direction of that thing you need to do.
Yeah, and it's and yeah, a lot of the stuff is more subtle than that in Elden Ring, where it's like once you start exploring, you realize that the world is generally funneling you into areas where it's like, oh yeah, this is the next place you need to be, and if you go in the wrong direction, it punishes you with enemies that are too powerful for you, and you need to go back in the other direction, and it's like you just need to like listen to the world when it pushes back against you. That is one of the big things it definitely took from Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is very good about like pushing you away if it felt like you weren't ready or felt like you needed to go do something to prepare for something, and just kind of listen to the world when it pushes back. Another good game that is good at this, the SnowRunner, MudRunner games, where it's like there are a lot of tutorial tooltips that'll pop up, but if you ignore all those and just sort of start like figuring out problems on your own, it's just as rewarding and it's just as fun. And that's kind of what I want, actually, is like you can have the hand-holding stuff, but if I start walking away from your hand-holding, just let me walk away and let me go figure stuff out on my own. And any game that does that, I'm really happy with.
Supernova says, if we assume the success of Perfect Dark after developing a CD for it, The second part was created for it. Would Daryl Gallagher need to develop from a CD again?
Crystal Dynamics is what they mean, I think.
Well, I keep saying ACD, so I was like, what is a Crystal Dynamic? But
yeah, you're right. I don't
thought
know.
Also they Supernova met Crystal Dynamics, but now I don't know. I'm not following.
Yeah, I mean, if it, like, do you think they would need to work with Crystal Dynamics again after this? Probably.
Yes.
Probably.
Yes.
Probably.
Yes. Sam asks, any news on certain affinities game mode for Halo?
I don't know. I think that no one really knows for sure, but it sounds like it could be a battle royale, which to me means it probably is and should be a battle royale.
One bad mother says, rank the order these things will happen.
Okay.
Perfect Dark releases, chip/console shortage ends, Red Wings make the playoffs. Jeff, I'll let you do this because I don't know much about the Red Wings.
Okay, so the Red Wings are going to make the playoffs next year, so that will be not this, so it'll be like a year from now, basically. And Perfect Dark will come out after that. So when is the chip shortage end? Probably after Well,
oh no,
the chip shortage might fully end after Perfect Dark comes out. Honestly, it'll start to like let up and stuff, but it feels like it's going to take a couple years for it to like he says for it to end, for it like the chip shortage to come to an end, and that is going to take actual years.
Pale Gale Network says, stay cool, guys. Here's to Triangle Strategy and 800K. Yeah, here's to them.
Yeah, congratulations to them selling that. Yep.
J Stud McLovin says, I was willy-nilly with Saluvis Potion, and now I is sad. What is Saluvis Potion? Is that an Elden Ring thing?
Yeah, probably. It's probably one of the things got nerfed in the recent patch.
Yeah. I all these things got nerfed, Jeff, and I'm just a guy who runs around with a giant sword, so I am fine.
Yeah, I don't know. They probably did nerf the thing I was doing with like the big Kamehameha thing. But
the sword?
Not the sword. Well, they probably did nerf the sword too. But
they did nerf that sword. I don't know about the normal Kamehameha.
But the big Comet Azure one, I think they probably nerfed that too. Although I was having much more luck with the sword, so okay. Man, all right, now I'm fucked.
X Atticus says, I have a feeling Sony will release God of War early next year just to have a better chance at Game of the Year. Shaking my head. They don't want the Elden Ring and Starfield hate. I don't think they wouldn't make that decision just to get more Game of the Year awards for God of War.
Right, they care about Game of the Year, but not that much.
No, they're going to release it on holiday to maximize sales and to also make sure that they get sales in the quarter that they were expecting them and told investors that those sales were coming in.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. But, I mean, yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Jeff, that's it for the Super Chats for now. If you guys have any more, we will read them before the show ends.
Yeah, thanks for the Super Chats, everybody. Let's get to some of these questions from the community, which came in for people who are subscribed to the Patreon, who subscribe to my Twitch. And then they go into the hidden channels, and from there you can ask questions. There's a link to a doc, and we'll start here with Poppy Woppy, who asks, when did you learn that licensed games were mostly trash? Early in your careers, did either of you get stuck reviewing licensed properties? I mean, it was always like a meme. That was like an early meme of video game media, right? Like in video game magazines, like they would talk about movie licensed games and being really bad. Now, I mean, I said that like the Hogwarts Legacy is a movie licensed game, and I still actually kind of mean that. Like they're definitely kind of basing that on the movie universe.
It's like Shadow of Mordor and stuff like that. It's adjacent to that.
Exactly. So, but yeah, it was like they were never ever good for a very long time, and there was a time where I think they got worse in like the PlayStation 1 and 64 era, and then for years it was like, okay, people keep trying that, and then all of a sudden mobile games came along, and they're like, this is where we could put this garbage, and people will actually like be happy it's here. We just release it for free and stuff, and just charge microtransactions, and now like some Family Guy game probably makes like $1 million a day or some shit like that. So.
I mean, we always knew licensed games were often bad, and we all understood why they churn these things out. So I knew well before I reviewed things. I do think the first licensed game I ever had to review was the Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 1 game.
Oh, wow.
They just turned it into a third-person shooter, which, man, that was something. I never played Part 2. That was not a good game.
So how is that bad, but the Star Trek game that they turned into a third-person shooter was very good?
Mechanically pretty similar. There was because the Star Trek game was built to be a co-op game, which was kind of fun, and it was all very stupid. And it
Right.
had like, I don't know why, I'm a sucker for games with the stupid, lazy cult mechanics. Like, all right, you two go down divergent paths and push buttons at the same time.
Me too. I like
That stuff
too.
makes me laugh. It's
Yeah.
so stupid.
And it's
I'm
like, oh,
into
it's
it.
Kirk and Spock working together. This is great.
Yeah. I need to remember, because whenever people ask me, like, what's a game people hate that you like? I do like that Star Trek game based
Yes.
off of like the '09 movie. It is like, it's objectively not good, but I had a lot of fun playing it.
All right, let's see here. Yeah, I did not get stuck reviewing games like that early in my career. From Laushin. Hey guys, hope your week went well. My question is not video game related. Hope it isn't an issue. If it is, it's too late. You already sent it in. I recently have been reading / listening to Dungeon Crawler Carl series, and this came to me. I think is what he means. What type of dungeon would you prefer to be stuck in? A fantasy based like Elden Ring or The Witcher, or a cyberpunk base like Cyberpunk 2077 or Detroit Become Human?
I feel, man, the sci-fi ones probably have more elaborate torture methods, right? They'll probably
Yes.
do like that thing in that Deep Space Nine episode where they make you think you served a 100-year sentence or something in
Yes.
like a day.
Yeah. Oh
Something
my
fucked
God.
up
Jesus
like that.
God. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but also the Elden Ring thing would probably be dingy and very unsanitary.
Yes. Be dirty, filthy.
Yeah. You're probably more likely to straight up die in the Elden Ring dungeon.
Right.
Like,
You'll
they'll
get
just
sepsis.
neglect you.
Yes, exactly. But the cyberpunk one will definitely have like dildos everywhere, because there's dildos everywhere in Cyberpunk 2077. So, but maybe that makes it better.
Yeah, I guess I'd rather be in dildo dungeon than in like disease dungeon. I don't know.
I think so. Epic Turbo World. So Daddy Todd Howard and team released another video of them sitting around talking about the grandiose vision of Starfield. I understand it is all part of some marketing rollout plan, but do they realize they are just annoying people that are interested and want to be excited for the game with all the big talk and not showing anything? Cool, the faces are better. Show a character model. This is sure some good concept art. Game ain't looking like that. Everything is just theoretical. I understand gameplay is for E3, but I do not think these videos are having the intended effect. I will say that I think you are wrong, and you're right. You're right that they are annoying you, but you're wrong to think that that is not going to work. And when they do show gameplay and it lives up to this, because that's probably why they're doing this, is they believe that they will be able to like live up to all the hype they're building up here. And if they do, you will forget that they annoyed you, and you will just be like, oh my God, I can't believe it worked. I'm so excited now. I actually think it's pretty effective marketing. So I don't know. Mike might disagree. What do you think?
No, I agree with you. I think it's relatively fine. I mean, look, these aren't things that they like build up and like tune in at this time. And there's like it's like, yeah, look, we released this thing. We're talking about Starfield a little bit. I barely even realized it happened until after the fact. You wrote a story about it. It's fine. We all know that the big reveal is coming. So if they want to talk about the game a little bit with some talking heads, it's okay. And I don't blame you for being frustrated that you can't just see more of it. And it is kind of annoying, like, yeah, our faces are better. Like, can you show me? I get it.
To be fair to that one,
really
I do think the character model that's in that teaser trailer is what the characters are supposed to look like. That's why they showed it close up in the video when they talked about that. So I get why people don't believe that, because that character looks way better than any sort of Bethesda Game Studios character has ever looked. So, but we'll have to see.
Hey, it's got people talking about Starfield.
Exactly.
I think the hype machine is working pretty well for them.
From Jump Matt, Jeff, have you had the chance to see if the Steam Deck works with Game Pass? If not, do you think Microsoft will try to make it work? So, there is efforts to try to get the streaming part working in the built-in version of Chrome, so that you could just use the controller built into the Steam Deck to play through Chrome and stream it. They are still working on getting all that stuff fixed, though, because I think the controller integration in that version of Chrome is not live yet. You'd have to download like the early beta version of Chrome, and I haven't done that. As far as native Game Pass, I think it'll probably get put in there one way or the other, whether that's Microsoft putting it in there or more likely someone working some magic on Linux to get a version of the service up and running. In the same way that if you go into the Discover store on Steam Deck right now in the desktop version, which is just like the Linux package manager thing, you could search Epic Game Store and Heroic Game Store Manager will pop up as an app, and from there you can either access Epic Game Store or GOG. And this isn't an official tool; it's just like a little portal that takes you to those things, and then you can install games through this like Heroic Game Manager thing. I think someone might end up trying to do the same thing with Game Pass, although There could be hurdles that I'm not foreseeing. I'm not an expert on that stuff. Let's see, from Beef Hammer. Happy Friday, boys. After this week's Nintendogs episode, my Xbox stopped working after hearing Xbox Killer's flawless facts and logic. I mean, that's just what happened. That's the risk we take from having such a brave boy on the show with his super chats.
We're probably giving him too much attention, but I can't help but have fun.
Yes. We'll tone it down next week. Should I get a new one, or should I just accept that his powers are too strong and Xbox is truly dead? Yeah, it's truly dead. This is the end. This is the end for the end of the road.
I almost can never remember if Xbox Killer likes or dislikes the Xbox sometimes. Yeah. I was like, well, you'll probably be happy if you buy a new one. Oh, wait, that's right. No, he doesn't like Xbox.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Yes, it's like, right. I don't actually care to keep it straight, so I know what you mean. I mean, is it like an older Xbox One or something like that? Because if it's an Xbox Series console, you should definitely try to get it fixed. So, I mean, call the service line. At least call the service line, see what they tell you. From VJ Incoming. All right, Mike, I get it. You weren't into the Pokemon Smash or Pass idea, so let Jeff do that since he's so eager. Instead, you could do a Final Fantasy Smash or Pass. What do you think?
I mean, those are humans, so yes.
You have to just do the summons. Just the summons.
I don't see
it's definitely a Smash.
Look, guys, I don't want my brand to become. I talk about what fictional characters I'd like to have sex with. No, we're gonna look. I'm not a very mature fellow, but my brand's gonna be a little bit higher brow than that. It's not gonna be very highbrow, but we're not gonna do that.
I mean, in fact, it will still be lowbrow, just not that lowbrow.
No, just not quite down there.
Like navel level, not genitalia level, right? Yes. All right, from Delta Prime 84. Vagina bone level. Hey, Beef and Cheddar boys. I noticed that Gran Turismo 7 stores progress data on its servers and just caches it locally on your console. I'm guessing this could allow progress to transfer to the PC version when that comes out. If Polyphony did allow transferring of progress to the PC version, do you think it would have a meaningful impact on people double dipping and buying a PC copy when they already have a PlayStation copy? I don't think so. Not much. Maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little. I don't think it's going to be that big of a consideration for people.
Yeah, I mean, some people double dip, but and I suppose if listen, it'll push some people over the fence. Some people that were like, I have it on PlayStation. I have this really great PC. I would love to have it there as well. Oh, and I could just pick up my save that I didn't even finish last time. Sure, yeah, that'll push some people over, but not like a huge percentage. It's probably not the reason they did it. It's almost the reason that they did it is probably almost it was like the easiest thing for them or something like that. It just kind of naturally happened that way. Winnie featuring a sad waiting meme from Arriving Q3. Right, for your Steam Deck. Do PS Now or Remote Play work on Steam Deck? That's a good question. I don't know. I haven't looked. I would imagine I could probably get those up and running. I'll see what I could do. But I have not looked into them yet. I will. From Casual. Sorry, let me scratch this one out. Dear Jeff and Mike, something ungodly happened this week. I have a certain boy band song stuck in my head. This by itself is fine, but after this week's episode of Nintendogs, my brain decided to take our artistic liberties with the lyrics, and now things are very much not fine. Jeff, please help me share how I've ruined everybody's Backstreet Back by singing the following. Okay. Am I original? Mike?
Yeah.
Is that Vaporeon?
Yeah.
Am I everything you need? I better rock Mike's body now. So I can see why things are not fine here. This is
no, this isn't good.
Things have gone bad for you, and I'm sorry. He says, thanks for being such good sports. Love you and all that you do.
Thank you.
You're welcome, I think. Actually, we should probably just apologize to Casual instead. From Octo, happy, thank God it's the end of the week. Sorry for the long-winded questions, but I always appreciate your thoughtful insights. Now, thank you for tuning in, Octo. They can't all be questions about fucking Pokemon, so for this week, you are given the power to use the wonderful Stanley Tucci in a video game. Honestly, he's basically a human Pokemon. What video game do you make? How do you use his talents? What is his...
Wait, who?
Stanley Tucci. Just Google him. He's like, there's no way, like, you're someone, like, because he's like an Italian, like, Italians love Stanley Tucci, Mike. I hate to break it to you.
Tucci?
I mean, Tucci, Tucci. He's
an
like a
actor.
character actor. Yes.
I recognize his face.
Yes, that's very good, Mike.
Yeah,
very
I don't watch
good.
many movies or TV shows anymore.
All right. Well, what show would you put him in? He says, have a great weekend. And P.S. I warmly recommend Big Night, 1996, a wonderful Stanley Tucci directed comedy with the Tooch, Tony Shalhoub, Ian Holm, Minnie Driver, Allison Janney, and Isabella Rossellini. That sounds like fun. Okay, so I suppose this falls to me. I would have.
Yes, it sure does.
I would put Stanley Tucci in like a like an animal raising simulator where you have to raise a Tucci and feed him and keep him happy. Like basically Nintendogs, but starring Stanley Tucci, and you keep him in a cage.
For some reason I was thinking Seaman.
Or Seaman. No, that's even better. Keep him in like just a fish with Stanley Tucci's face. Yeah, that's very good. So yeah, Seaman with Stanley Tucci edition. All right, Velocity Prime 1, Good Friday, Jeff. I didn't say that, Grubb. And Mike, ready for breeding Minotti. Okay, I'm issuing a decree. No more talking about breeding Mike Minotti or me. But I cannot read that one more time. I cannot read it because I don't read these things beforehand. I wasn't braced for that the first time or this time. I can't handle this.
I agree, everybody. Fun is fun. Look,
we've had our fun though. We've had our fun.
We have to start thinking about things are going to seem out of context here. Yeah. I tried to explain to my real world friends about the people that listen to my podcast making jokes about breeding me, and they're just like, "What?" And I don't know how to explain it. I'm knocking shit over now. God
we've
damn
had
it.
our fun. And now we're done having our fun. That's all that's happened here.
No more breeding.
We're done having that fun.
We're not having sex with Vaporeon.
We're not having sex with Vaporeon, and we're not breaking Mike Minotti. It's not a virgin. Yes, we are definitely 100% censoring free speech now.
Yes, that's
welcome to our show.
Go write an editorial in the New York Times about how bad this is.
All right. Velocity Prime continues. Now that Final Fantasy Origins has been more warmly received than anticipated, what other elements pulled from the mid-2000s should make a comeback in gaming? New metal scores, extra edgy characters, nonsensically compressed narratives. What do you think, Mike?
I think the QTEs are ready for a big comeback. I mean, they're in that Harry Potter game, right?
Yeah,
that's what I'm making fun of with Potions class. It's like push the X button to add a drop of this thing. Like, okay, how interactive. So yeah, QTEs are maybe going to make a big comeback. We'll say that.
From Prime Gamer 92, hello Jeff and Mike. I write this as I sit in front of the TV staring at the GT7 home screen, which is currently 99% grayed out because for some reason this single player car PG needs to be connected to a server that has been offline for the last several hours. Surprisingly, this isn't even the most disappointing part of the game to me. The DualSense controller was hyped up, and in many games I have played on PS5, it has lived up to this hype. But sadly, GT7 is not one of them. Mike, he's got more, but real quick, I want to check with you. How did your DualSense feel in GT7? Because I might have an opinion on this.
I thought the DualSense was pretty great in GT7. So.
Okay, Prime Gamer 92, see if your controller's broken. Because other people who have had this complaint about it not working, they've used a new controller and they're like, this feels better. This feels right. And those new controllers that Sony's putting out have more support in like the triggers and stuff, like physically built in so they don't break as easy. Something in yours could have like just slipped and maybe isn't working like it should be. So take a look at that. Maybe try a new controller. He says, the force feedback feels totally numb to the point where I think Turn 10 did a better job communicating what is happening to the car with the basic rumble of the Xbox One controller as far back as 2013. Between this, the always online requirement, and the shadiness with lowering race payouts and a patch to incentivize microtransactions, what is going on with this game?
Yeah, the microtransactions thing seems like a mess. The always online thing seems like a mess. I thought the controller stuff was pretty impressive. So I don't know if it's either, and there's been some other instances where like with some of these games, even Jeff has had this where it doesn't really do as much for him as it does for me. So maybe I'm just having a different experience. Maybe it's broken. There's also a lot of options to make sure everything is good there. But the other stuff, yeah, GT7 has problems and it deserves this criticism it's getting. I hope they kind of shape up here. Yeah, and I'll say that I haven't played Gran Turismo 7. I want to, but I was going to buy it, but now I'm like $70. I'll wait for all this shit to blow over and wait for them to update it, get in a good state.
But I'll say that the rumble in the Xbox One controller for Forza Motorsport games, all those ones, and for Forza Horizon, where they put the rumble and the trigger so you could feel your car gripping to the road, was always great. That was always great. And it's the one game franchise on the entire Xbox that actually used that feature in the Xbox controller. Maybe there was one other, but so I'm like, yeah, like they were always doing that pretty well. And I would be disappointed if I didn't feel the same thing in the DualSense. But I mean, it sounds like most people are having a pretty good experience.
I was getting pretty good feedback from.
So that's why I think it's probably your controller, which would be a shame because they're expensive. But maybe you can like get it looked at. Maybe there's a repair place where you go get it looked at. Okay, let's see. Turbo Madden. Hello, Jeff. Looks like brown-haired Yosemite Sam Grubb. Wow, fair, but wow. And Mike sounds like Daffy Duck Minotti.
Not fair, actually. Rabbit season.
You ever think about what an alternate timeline where Kingdom Hearts doesn't cross over with Disney, but instead Warner Brothers? Would that be a better timeline or a worse timeline? I think anything could be better than what we got.
Shut up, it'd be awful.
If Sora fought the Heartless alongside Daffy Duck and Porky Pig, WB's Donald and Goofy, obviously, within WB-owned IPs like Batman, The Matrix, and Casablanca. It sounds incredible. It sounds like finally someone's making a good game.
Kingdom Hearts came out right when I felt like the Looney Tunes were really finally falling off. They had that big 90s resurgence, sort of peaking with Space Jam. And then, like, that other, like, Looney Tunes Back in Action came out and kind of bombed, and it just felt like those characters sort of disappeared and became more legacy again. And then Disney was on the super rise after that. But no, I think it'd be weird. I wouldn't like it. Man, there's Porky Pig and Daffy Duck are very funny characters. They aren't.
Porky Pig could shoot off a Zeta flare or whatever the fuck it was.
No.
And I would cry. I'm crying just thinking about it.
They aren't. I was about to say iconic. That's not really the word. I don't know. There's something. They're missing a little something that the Disney characters have. Maybe this. Keep in mind, this is coming from the guy with the Mickey Mouse shirt on, so you don't have to take me seriously.
I will say that the Looney Tunes resurgence was weird because how popular were those T-shirts with Taz and and what's her the little bird, Tweety Bird or whatever it was.
Tweety Bird.
Fucking everywhere. It was massive.
Yeah. They were all over the place. Nickelodeon was just playing Looney Tunes.
Yes. That's when I watched it nonstop.
On prime time, like right when kids came home from
Wile E. Coyote. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it was weird because it's just like, I've seen every Looney Tunes a million times because they just played them still, and I can't imagine it's possibly like that for kids anymore.
No. There's too many options these days. They just would never.
I'm not gonna watch these old cartoons from the '60s. So.
Right? They would rather just watch garbage on YouTube or like one of the Emmy-winning shows that are like for kids on Amazon Prime or whatever. So like they have a lot of options. From Nick Turbo, what will sell more by the end of this year? Legends Arceus or Elden Ring? Very good question.
It is a pretty good question, huh? It feels like, I don't know, maybe this isn't right at all. It feels like Arceus is losing momentum perhaps a little faster than I expected.
Maybe, yeah.
And I don't know if it's just because they announced the new games already, or if maybe there's something front-loaded about this one. That probably isn't right. Arceus is probably still going to sell really well, but it seems like the sky's the limit for Elden Ring. Like, Elden Ring could sell 40 million copies by the end of the year, as ridiculous as it sounds. Maybe not by the end of the year, maybe 30. And that would probably be more than Pokemon. Pokemon was probably going to get to like 20 million.
Yeah, 20, maybe 22 to 25 million. It's going to be a pretty interesting race. I will probably say Elden Ring because by the end of this year, we're going to have new Pokemon games that will sort of like deflate the sales in the holiday quarter for this game, I think, a little bit. One Up versus CPU said the crisscross with Daffy and that was Daffy and Bugs trying to be crisscross. And I'm like, oh my God, yes. Like all those crossovers with like rap groups and stuff. Yeah. Okay. They were everywhere.
They got like they became pop. It was weird that in the 90s they were at their most pop culture icon. We had the Tiny Toons. We had all this.
Tiny Toons
they were
great.
super relevant.
I still love the Tiny Toons.
Tiny Toons was great.
Yeah. Those games were great. It was Capcom? Capcom made those ones? Konami? It was Konami then?
Yeah, yes. The Tiny Toons. Yes, Konami made the very good Tiny Toons games.
Yes. Okay. Those games
Buster Bust Loose on the SNES.
Yes.
Probably the best licensed game on SNES. Could that be right? I think that might be right.
I think that might be right. I mean, it's fantastic. It's like up there with some of the best non-licensed games. So yes. Let's see, Muggsy, who just joined Patreon. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Muggsy. Muggsy, I'm looking into this very thing you're about to ask right now. Any news on NetherRealm Studios Mortal Kombat 12 rumored May showcase? I have not been able to confirm this yet. I'm looking into it, but I've not been able to confirm it myself. So there's a rumored May showcase for Mortal Kombat 12. Maybe I think that's coming from that account NRG or whatever it was, the one that said there would be this Hogwarts showcase from PlayStation. So there's reasons to believe it's true, but I haven't heard it myself. I'm still looking and I'm asking around. I'll see what I can find. Let's see, Jedi Moss 20 or Jedi Moss 4. Ever since Elden Ring dropped, there have been some developers from other companies complaining online about the number of passes that Elden Ring gets with its presentation and technical performance in comparison to their own games. Are they somewhat justified in their frustration, or are they being too petty? Both, maybe. I think it's a little bit of both.
Sure. I mean, look, like some of that stuff is certainly true about the, like it doesn't run as well as it should. Sometimes things don't look as good as they do. But when the game ultimately works really well and is a lot of fun, then people can become really forgiving about a lot of that stuff. It's
very much like what's that YouTube channel that just talks about all the plot holes and stuff and like gives them dings. CinemaSins. It's very much like that sort of thinking where it's like, oh, there's a flaw in this story, so it's a bad movie. That's okay. That's a real low form of criticism. It's criticism, but it's a very low form of it. And really what we're talking about when we're like absorbing media is our overall feeling about it and the reasons that we give things a pass or whatever. And that's usually because it works for us on a higher level than a lot of other games. And that's what's happened. Like a lot of these games are being assessed at this very base level because that's what they are presenting themselves as just trying to like check the boxes of, yeah, we're delivering you an open world map where you can go like cross things off and here's some quests, and are these good quests, are they bad quests, whatever. Elden Ring's going for something higher and more difficult, and it gets sort of a benefit of the doubt because it is going for that degree of difficulty. Same thing happened with Breath of the Wild.
It is just similar to how I think it's sometimes a weird look when like the gaming journalists criticize the other gaming journalists.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a weird look for some of these developers to be like, this is why I don't like Elden Ring, actually. I don't know, maybe it's pretty innocent, really, and maybe I'm just being
but it also is risky of like being like a West versus Japan thing, and that never goes well. God, remember when Homeboy did that? Not the Braid developer, Fez developer, when he talked about... Yes, Phil Fish, yes. And that was like, now I'm not saying anybody was being as abrasive as Phil Fish was being when he said that about Japanese development, but you risk that when talking about like a Japanese studio if you are a Western studio and being like, we do things right over here. I don't know what they're doing over there. Like, it's just risky. I wouldn't do it. Got a few more from Benji Bob. Jeff, don't read this. Not sure if this is a duplicate. I think my question got wiped when you reset the form, so I'm sending it again just in case. Okay, I won't read that. Happy Friday, Happy Friday, Jeff. Mutes Mike to yell at kids, Grubb. That's right.
Nice.
I'll continue to do so. And Mike mutes Mike to yell at pets, Minotti.
I wasn't yelling at Penny, but I just looked at her confused because she's like in this corner, nothing's happening. She was like kind of barking at something. Like, what are you possibly barking at?
As Elden Ring is seemingly now the de facto game to compare every other open world game to going forward, I wonder how this will affect Starfield's reception. I'll say that Bethesda games are going to be compared to their own games, I think, for the most part.
It's going to be compared to Fallout 4 and Skyrim.
Yes. Well, I'm sure Bethesda probably won't revolutionize how they design open worlds like FromSoft did. What are some other aspects Bethesda could lean into that could outshine Elden Ring and lead to a potential very even and nuanced debate for Game of the Year? Well, that's an insane thing to wish for because there's no way that's going to happen. Assuming Starfield actually comes out and is very good. Thanks as always. Have a Friendship 2 kind of weekend.
I will say, like, I don't know, like, I guess they're open world games. I don't think that like Fallout and Skyrim, maybe Skyrim a bit. I think it's the RPG stuff that has always been almost more important, perhaps. Skyrim had pretty good discoverability. The Fallout games maybe a little bit less so. I don't know. As I'm saying this, I'm like talking myself out of it. Maybe the open world aspect is pretty important to those games. For me,
Skyrim is very much the prototypical Elden Ring open world because it's like it's about going out there, ignoring what's going on with the story for the most part, finding a cave, doing whatever bullshit is in that cave, and then being excited when I come out the other end and I survived and stuff. And Elden Ring does all that stuff better because it came out 10 years later. So no, like, big surprise. Now, Starfield, I'm like wondering how many caves I'm going to be exploring in Starfield, this sci-fi game. Like they might completely rethink about how you're exploring stuff, but you know, there could be rocky asteroids that you're exploring or whatever.
That's the big thing with Starfield and a lot of sci-fi games is that, like, even though it's sci-fi, you imagine the scope is bigger. A lot of times it can feel smaller because you're going to all these planets, and then each individual planet is like it's going to be smaller than the map from Fallout 3 or something like that, right? So you lose that giant connected world feeling.
What you're like identifying there is actually the real thing that Starfield needs to be worried about, not trying to be like compared to Elden Ring or even old Bethesda game studios, just making sure that when you are going from planet to planet, it feels connected and like exploration and not just like loading up a menu of like, okay, now let's load in this map and stuff like that, making it feel like really alive and stuff like that. If they can nail that, a lot of other things will fall into place for them. Cranch's Big Basketball. Hello, Jeff and Mike. Since I'm responsible for delaying Advance Wars, apparently, when do you think we'll get a new release date? Do you think it'll even hit this year?
They're definitely going to at least wait for summer to see if there's going to be some kind of a development in the war. And if nothing happens by then maybe after that they're like, well, this is just going to go on for years now, so we'll just say that this game's coming out in the fall, and we'll just release it and maybe not promote it very much, just get it out there and move on.
Yeah, because we're still in this time where like it feels like this thing could escalate in some really bad ways. China continues to be like, we think Russia has the right to do all this stuff, and America is the reason this war is happening and stuff. So it's like
biolabs.
Yeah, biolabs in Ukraine and stuff. And it's like, you know, and so there's still so many unknowns. The war hasn't fallen into sort of just a low rumbling, this is what the war is. We kind of haven't defined the boundaries of what it could be. So it's like scary still.
And there seems to be some optimism about talks progressing. So maybe Nintendo is going to be like, well, let's see. Maybe that will play out. And this whole thing will be over soon. And we can just release our Advance Wars. And then probably never touch that franchise again. What I'm thinking. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, Jeff.
No, I mean, honestly, you're probably right.
It's just so much safer to just keep going with Fire Emblem.
Yep. Some fantasy wars are, safer. You're exactly
more
right.
digestible.
Yes, absolutely. And maybe that's actually good. Let's see. 2 points from Danger Man Leet. The initiative sounds worrying, but Jez Corden reckons everything is relatively okay with Perfect Dark's development at the end of the day. Still on track for a 2023 launch. He's asking, still on track for a 2023 launch? Maybe being experimental means experimental. It could still be on track for 2023. I am very hesitant about giving people hope based on a timeline that I heard originally in 2021. So things change every day with game development, and it sounds like they've been changing pretty rapidly with this one, but it also sounds like they have their plan in place and they are executing on it. So if that plan was put in place with the purpose of getting it out by like the end of 2023, maybe they could still make it. I would say expect it in 2024, and I'm going to continue saying that. The other point from Dangerman Elite, with the recent Starfield video with the team stating the game will be more deeper in terms of RPG mechanics, are we swinging back home to hardcore and deeper gameplay mechanics from the late '00s/early '10s game design trend of making games more simple? That Elden Ring has Elden Ring heralded that, I guess is what he's asking.
I don't think Elden Ring's heralded. I think that's still mostly a response to Fallout 4 and how people didn't like the sort of simplifying and dumbing down of that. I don't think we're even going back to Morrowind levels here.
No.
But probably at least like Fallout 3.
Yes, Fallout 3 and maybe like somewhere between Oblivion and Skyrim in terms of that stuff as well, because like even Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, there is a trend towards simplifying stuff, and yes, I think that there was probably a sweet spot somewhere in there, and they'll probably try to go for that.
I remember Morrowind had 4 different armor types. Like, whoa, that was like, come on.
And Morrowind very much did not have that level scaling thing that we were talking about the other day, where it's you just go in a spot and it's just difficult. And okay, 3 more. Low rule. Without downloading Windows, is there any way to play Game Pass on Steam Deck? Even if streaming is the only option, just curious if it's possible in its current state. Very soon with that update to Chrome, it should be possible to stream it. From Louis Patelli, one of my favorites. Hey fellas, happy Friday. Since EA Play isn't happening this summer, when can we expect to learn more about the Fallen Order sequel? Also, any chance it still comes out this holiday? We're going to hear about that in May at Star Wars Celebration is when that's coming. So keep an eye out for that because that's where it's happening.
100%. This year for that one?
What's that? I can't remember. I feel like I've talked about this before, and now I can't remember what I
Seems
said.
early.
I think it's probably not this year, probably early next year. But like, there's so many EA games where I'm like, because the Dragon Age 4 is 18 months away. Dead Space was almost later this year, but then they moved it and they confirmed that. Now that's early 2023. So Jedi Fallen Order 2 later this year could almost make sense. Let me ask, and I'll see what I can find, because I feel like I did have the answer and I just forgot. Last one, and not even a question. It's just this is an attaboy from Keywork who says, "Sup boys, no question this week. Just have a great one." Thank you, Keywork.
Thank you.
Keywork shows up to our Mario Kart community game nights and stuff. So, reminder, we're doing that this weekend. New tracks on Saturday morning, so look out for that. Mike, did we get any more super chats?
We did. Let's get through these. RDX Son of a Fett asks, "Will God of War be a game as a service?" No. The new God of War, no way. It'll be like the last God of War.
Yes, it will be.
Sony's making new games to be their games of service thing.
Yes, correct.
Ira Malice says, "No question, great piece of investigative journalism, Mike. You can share this with Grubb, but you don't have to." I probably should have clarified this more. I forget if I did. Dean Takahashi wrote the story.
Dean did all the legwork as well. So I gave him a few oh yeah, I've heard this and I heard that, and other people have told me they've heard this. So yeah, but Dean did all the work on that one. You should get all the credit.
I just edited that thing, so
Mike should get a lot of the credit for the editing because he chopped it down. It was way longer at one point. Everybody,
as long as it is now, it was even longer. There was Jeff helped. Jeff and Rachel also helped it. It was a bit of a team effort. It's like at Muppet Vision 3D when Sam says it's a salute to all countries but mostly America. This is a salute to all GamesBeat but mostly Dean.
There, it's very good. Okay, yes, exactly.
Yes. Yeah, so I will. I'll get Dean a drink next time I see him with that he sent me. Ariel Delgado says Samurai teasing new game Smash 2. Maybe he meant Sakurai. Is Sakurai teasing a new game or Samurai? What would Smash 2 be if it's not Sakurai?
I mean, if they're making Smash 2.
Oh, yeah, wait, what would Smash 2 be? Who's Samurai? What's Smash 2? Smash TV 2? Are they finally making a sequel to Smash TV?
Yeah. Exactly, yes. Samurai.
If you just say Smash, I'm going to think Smash Brothers.
Same here. Is it Samurai Smash? Power Rangers Samurai Smash. Gameplay review for iOS from 2015. So I hope that's helpful.
Man. Okay. Well, maybe they're making a new one of those. Supernova says, "Is Elden Ring virgin?" ?
Yeah. Maidenless.
Well,
absolutely. Hello. Hey. All right. Hang on. Let's Ooh, is this broken? Hi. I'm trying to fix it. Just 1 second. But Discord is Hello. All right. I think I'm back.
What'd you do?
I looked at the internet wrong. It was fine.
What?
It was fine. It was going great, and then everything went red. So hello, we should be back. We should be everyone should be able to hear us. Let me know if you can hear it. Hello, everybody. Chat.
Continue.
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yes, we'll continue. Thank you, Christian. I need to unpause the recording though, so let me do that. Okay. After slight technical difficulties, we are back. I thought I was being very clever because the stream froze in an interesting way where you were still talking, I could still hear you, Mike, that whole time. So even when you're when I didn't respond to you, I could hear you all through that time because I was responding, you just didn't hear me. But your face froze, and I'm like, oh, I'm being clever, and I'm taking the mouse and poking you in the face and stuff, and then it kind of came loose, and I could see you again. You started moving, and then I realized, oh no, my entire internet just died. No one can see any of this anymore. So I wasn't being clever.
So you could have fixed things earlier, but you're too busy picking my nose.
Yeah, pretty much. That's basically how that went down. Yes.
All right.
Any more super chats?
Yeah, let's read this one again from Benji here. If the Switch 2/Pro is coming out in late 2022 or early 2023, when would Nintendo reveal it? Is new hardware likely this fiscal year? Jeff, I do not think there's any chance any new Switch is coming, or any substantial new Switch is coming out this year. Maybe we get the Switch Lite OLED, but not a Switch 2 or Pro. We keep saying what the earliest for that is
Yeah, I mean, so 2024, early 2024 to me is when the Switch 2 comes. So if they're gonna do a Pro still, which seems very unlikely, but maybe, I don't know, based on that Nvidia leak, seems like it could be a Pro, could be a 2. But if it's a Pro, I don't know when they put it out, because I still think they want to get out a Switch 2 early 2024. So you put out a Pro late this year, if at all? No, I don't think that's going to happen. So
No, there's
yeah,
nothing. But yeah, I mean, look, if it was going to happen, then they would announce it at E3. But I
yes,
don't think that's
yeah. I mean, or like just after E3, because
E3 time.
they don't. Yes, they don't always announce hardware at E3. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. Any other super chats?
Last super chat is from Jeremy G, who says dibs on last super chat. You heard that? Nobody else sent in a super chat. He has dibs. All right, Jeff. Did you want to talk about anything you've been playing?
Yeah, I mean, I've mostly been playing Elden Ring still. I played the new Mario Kart tracks though last night, and they're good.
How are those?
They're fun. They're fun. There's it's like you go through 8 tracks really fast though. It's like it'll be nice once we have all of these tracks and they're just in there, because right now it's like, okay, yeah, we're playing the same 8 tracks over and over again because we want to play the new stuff. So that's a little bit annoying, but they're good. There's some standout ones. The one of the standouts is the last one in the second, the second circuit. It's I don't even know if it seems like it might be a new track, so it must be from Tour or something like that, because it doesn't have like a platform labeled like all the other ones. Like this one's from the Game Boy Advance and this one's from the DS version. But it's one where there's a bunch of different like tiers. There's a lot of verticality to it, and if you stay on the top tier, like you might have an advantage, but it's like a skinny track, so it's hard to stay on it. And that's pretty neat and cool, and I've really been enjoying that one.
So
they're all pretty fun.
Any of those like feel lesser than the main ones? Like some people were worried these are just like lazy ports from the mobile game.
I think there's definitely a little bit of that vibe where I'm not sure the music is as standout as it was in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe proper, and these are. Like, this is an updated version of Chocobo Chocolate Mountain or whatever it was from the N64.
Chocobo Chocolate Mountain.
But I don't but it's like I also don't know if it like looks as good as like a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe proper level. But when you're going through it, it mostly just looks pretty good because you're going so fast and you're focused on the race. And so it works. It works on the level it needs to work, and it is still fun to have this new stuff. It's nice to have a reason to have everyone come back to Mario Kart, and so far we've been doing that. And I opened a room and was playing with some people in the Discord last night, and it was a lot of fun. Other than that though, I did play the Kirby demo though. But do you want me to save that for Nintendogs? Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's really good. I can't wait to play that game. Actually, it's I set it to wild mode immediately. It's not very difficult, and and that's kind of like. That could still be this game's Achilles heel, where if it's so easy that it becomes boring, I will be a little bit disappointed. But if it's just going to keep doing cool stuff, and every level is going to have like one of these mouthful modes that is interesting and different, that could be enough to carry me through. I would just also like to be slightly challenged. That's all.
Sure. Well, and those were the first levels. Like even that boss fight was there's a little something to that. That wasn't like a super cakewalk necessarily. I mean, it was kind of a cakewalk, but you know what I mean. We'll see. I'm very excited for that though.
I like to chat. There's a battle to be the last super chat.
So I was about to say since I said no one else can, we got Nick Turbo said last, and then Kyle Martin said not today, Nick Turbo. Now Canoobal is currently last with his message that says last. No, everyone stop. Ha ha ha. Don't keep tipping just to be last.
Mike, that does it for me though. What have you been playing?
A lot more Valorant, especially. Well, gosh, I never actually talked about Stranger of Paradise, huh?
No, what's going on with Stranger of Paradise? Yeah.
Oh gosh, I haven't even talked about that. Yeah, after all that shit, I ended up liking it pretty good.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
It was the same reaction I had to the demo when that first came out. Like, yeah, this combat is pretty fun. I do like that. I think that the story is stupid and bizarre, and it's stupid and bizarre on so many levels, especially in the beginning, because the cutscenes are just so disjointed. At one point, one cutscene ended, and I went to look at my phone, and I looked back up, and there was just text that said the characters then went to the cast or something. That's all I read. Like, what? Why is there? And then it just went to a new cutscene. I was like, okay. Also, all the cutscenes are in like 20-something frames per second, maybe 30 frames per second. Even if you're playing on 60 frames per second, I don't know why. It's just it's nonsense. Like that scene, that famous scene where he plays the song from the band. I forget what band. Not
Limp Bizkit.
Limp Biscuit. Like that's weird, and also nothing else like that ever happens. Like, why is that there? Why does he have a phone all of a sudden?
Once it's not even like the theme of the game is like kind of like the Knight's Tale. Like, remember a Knight's Tale with where it's like it's this medieval movie about not gladiators, but like the guys that fight with the javelins or whatever, the jousting, and night games and whatever. And all the music is modern music, and a lot of it's like done and like endemically in the world and stuff. But some of it's just like, oh no, this is just the modern David Bowie song playing while all these people are dancing. So it's not even like that done repeatedly. So it's like feels like this is a thematic element.
No, there's that, and then there's My Way, and that's
this game is incredible. This game is incredible. I have to play it.
I see. Again, everyone says that, and I wonder how much those people are going to think about it when they're playing a 15-hour game that they spent $60 on to see.
That's fair, stuff. But I have to play it.
Yeah, and then it's weird because like when it's like the incidental dialogue inside the dungeon, then it's just much more rote, normal JRPG stuff. Like, as soon as they're not like playing to these cutscenes and are like having to do the awkward lip syncing, it sounds mostly normal and fine. Like, even the main character like suddenly just sounds like a normal human and not like he's doing his best Kratos circa 2003 impression. That's like the vibes from the game are so original God of War, and it's so weird because God of War had to be like, we can't do that shit anymore.
Like, listen,
we're changing.
We had threesomes in our game, and we feel bad about that, everybody.
Right. It's like, no, we're going to actually evolve things. We're going to try to become just ever so slightly more, like, emotionally complex than that. And this game's like, no, we're going to have, like, those weird, like, graphic, like, kill sequences and stuff like that. But the combat is really fun. It is, like, this more fast-paced version of a Soulsborne type of thing, and you have the job system for Final Fantasy, and that's great because you like unlock these simple jobs like the basic mage or like the basic person with a sword, and then as you unlock those, you unlock more advanced ones. If you unlock multiple ones, then it helps you unlock even more advanced ones and you can have 2 equipped at any time. You can change between them on the fly. So there's all sorts of different builds or different ways you can play. Like at the end, I was pretty heavily focused on magic, and it was a lot of fun. And each of those classes kind of has a little different flavor to it.
All right, cut the bullshit. Did you kill Chaos or not?
That sounds like a spoiler. I better not say. I will say that a lot of people's first impression of what this story was correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's one scene I almost want to spoil because it is so incredibly stupid. Let's just say this. There's a part.
If you're really sensitive to spoilers for this game, you could stop listening now because we're wrapping up the show after this.
I'll be slightly vague, but there's a part where you save somebody, and you go through all this trouble to save them from this place that is filled with monsters, and you and your friends save them, and you get to the exit of the place with the monsters. Then there's like a speech about how we got out of the monsters, and then the main character's just like, I'm going for a walk. You're not out of the place with the monsters yet. He's like, I'm going for a walk. And then he leaves the place with the monsters and steps outside, talks to people. And then someone else comes like, oh no, you better come back. And it's like, surprise, the person was killed by the monsters.
What?
And it's like, well, what the hell? Why'd you leave? And there's a lot of things.
Oh my God, incredible.
Like that. Yeah, so there's like these moments like things can only progress because of incredible stupidity. There's another part where you have to tell a character that their father died, and you do it in the most insensitive.
Oh my God, that's so choice. I have to play this game. I can't believe that sentence you just said. You have to tell someone their father died in this game. That concept alone is very good to me, and I need to play it.
Yeah, it's God. It has moments. I'll tell you, but it is fun, and I love how the levels are all based on other locations from past Final Fantasy games, so there's something of like a greatest hits vibe from it, even if sometimes the levels are ugly as all hell, or they have weird mist effects that make it hard to see, or like the contrast on anything that's supposed to be a light source is way too high. All these amateurish things that I don't just want to give a free pass to. Sure. These things should look better. And the ultimate point I made in the review that I want to stand by is, and I know it's an obnoxious thing to say anymore, but it does look like a PlayStation 3 game, and it does often play like a PlayStation 3 game. Now, that's not all bad. There are a lot of good PlayStation 3 games, but they are still PlayStation 3 games, and this is 2022.
All right, I'm gonna play this thing. I'm gonna get it on the Steam Deck. I have Epic Games Store on my Steam Deck, so I'm gonna play it on there, and I'll let everybody know.
Is it on Epic Games Store? Some of their stuff's just on Steam now.
I think it's. Yeah, I looked on Steam. I didn't see it there. It says actually in chat. Notary J or Notar JY says, "Man, I wish it wasn't EGS exclusive on PC." So
okay, there you go. Yeah. I wish Satan Kingdom Hearts just because I won it on Steam Deck more easily. Well, yeah. So that's what I think about that. And then I ended up still giving it 4 or 5 because it actually was really, like, even though I really wanted to play Elden Ring and I thought that was really going to hurt this game a lot, and I was going to be pissed I was playing this instead, especially when it is similar. I still mostly was able to play through this game pretty breezily and pretty happily. Like, I was having fun the whole time, and I was having a good time progressing. And look, at the end of the day, it is mostly going through dungeons and fighting things. It's not super heavy on that story stuff, especially after the beginning. So,
all right then,
it was fun.
Well, I am very excited. I can't believe you ended up loving it. So
I did not. No, love. No,
I think 4 out of 5 is love. It is just straight up love.
God damn it.
You got to admit to yourself, that's how you feel. That is how you feel.
I'm going to be very curious to see how this thing does.
Yeah, me too. I feel like it could, like, bomb in a way, like just get completely overlooked.
Bomb.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think it could. Well, someone even said, like, the reception was better than I thought, but it's still, like, in the 70s. Right. Low 70s on PlayStation 5, which these days, I feel like that's not very, like, a lot of people aren't going to buy a game that has a score in the 70s. And it's one of those things where, like, the opinions just all over the place. Mm-hmm. Like, the top score is like a 90, the lowest score is like a 20, right? So it's one of those things where Metacritic is less hopeful, but still, that is the Metacritic.
All right, Mike, any final super chats?
Did anybody else get... Oh, gosh. Napper said probably not last, and then Jeremy G says, I always finish last. There we go. Jeremy G got it back at the end there.
I think actually Napper came in just after, when I'm looking at the chat. So
really? Because well, according to Stream Elements, it went Napper and then Jeremy.
Maybe they came at the same time, and we're getting.
You're right though. On here, it looks like Napper went last. Okay, I don't know what to believe. We'll call it a tie then.
Call it a tie. All right, Mike. I'm hitting the button. Let's.
Yeah. When are we doing the Jeopardy thing
tonight? Everybody, if you are a member of the Patreon, if you're in the secret channels inside the Discord, we'll be posting a link for a video so you can watch us play Jeopardy live tonight at
Video Game Jeopardy.
That is going to be, what was that, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time, so 8:30 p.m. Central, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. It'll be in the podcast producers channel. Check that out. If you want to join, there's still time to join, and if you join later, you'll still be able to listen to it later because I'll be putting it in the subscriber feed, as well as a link of the video just straight up into the Discord or whatever. So tune in for that tonight. It's going to be Rachel and me, who are the good guys, taking on the villain, Mike Minotti.
Wow, villain's going to win.
Mike, where can people find you on the internet?
Empire Strikes Back shit.
Yes, exactly.
You can find me on Twitter at Tolkoto, TOLKOTO. Check out 90s Disney, my 90s Disney podcast at 90sdisney.com. We'll be back on Tuesday with Last of the Nintendogs.
And I am Jeff Grubb on Twitter. Again, join that Discord, discord.gg/GameMess. Come hang out with us, patreon.com/GameMess. That's a good way to just kind of stay in the orbit of what we're doing, if we're going to be hanging out, if we're going to go live. There's a little notification thing in there whenever the YouTube stream goes live. So yesterday, at the last minute, I decided to do the Hogwarts Legacy thing. So you could tune in for that and see that when I go live, when I decide to do that at the last minute. Good ways to just be in the Discord. You'll get notifications. And then Mario Kart Saturday, tomorrow morning. So come play with us. I'll probably be playing a little bit tonight too. Probably stream a little bit tonight if I get some time after the Jeopardy thing. We'll see. But yes, definitely tomorrow morning, and I will be streaming that to my Twitch channel. I'll be getting up kind of early for that, so it's 8 a.m. Mountain Time, 8 a.m. Grubb time is what we're gonna say from now on. So
you don't like getting up early.
It's easier because I could just get it out of the way, and the kids are probably still gonna be in bed for the most part and stuff. It's not like I'll have responsibilities I'm abdicating. Bye everybody, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Jeremy G stuck one in with the $1 at the end. You won, Jeremy.